Hangout, a podcast where three bearded film fans watch the best and worst horror movies of all time. My name is Luke, and I'm joined by Luke Condo with a K, beg your pardon. Joined by my two regular co-hosts, Mr.
Andy Conjurate Turner, hello.
And Mr.
It's Mr. Ben Errington.
It's really hot.
It's so hot.
It's like 30, is it 30 degrees today?
Yeah, I think we hit 31 today in
Celsius.
Yeah,
for the American.
Is that right? Celsius.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Which is very, very hot. I think last night it was 24 at midnight. I noticed, which is kind of ridiculous.
Yeah.
Well, I'm just looking at the calendar. I'd like the weather here, and it is 8:30, 25 to 9 here in the UK, and it's 27 degrees.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's too hot.
And I guess for non-UK listeners, we've mentioned this just before the podcast. There's no aircon really in the UK, or at least people don't have aircon in their houses.
Yeah.
So the air is thick. I had a little walk earlier, and it felt like I was walking through treacle. Maybe I was. Ever so sticky.
I'm confident in saying that in the history of the world, no one has been as warm and uncomfortable as we are right now.
Probably.
Yeah,
I've eaten so many lollipops. It's unreal.
What's your go-to? What's your go-to ice lolly of choice?
I feel like I've talked about this specific lolly a lot recently, but the Twister, classic Twister.
The Twister's good because you get ice cream and what is it? Like some weird sort of
and lolly material. It's got the qualities of both an ice cream and a lolly.
Yeah. Yeah, and it all kind of blurs together at the end. It's very nice, very tasty.
I like a fruit pastels lolly. I like
that. Good. That's good.
The only downside is that the blackcurrant is the best, and you get the least of it.
What do you mean?
Get
the least of it?
Because the blackcurrant's only at the top, and then when you bit in that off, that yellow's going all the way through.
I was eating a fruit pastels.
I'm getting it mixed up with a different lolly.
Oh right, I was eating a fruit pastels ice lolly, and I was fascinated about how they must make it. And I think I want to Google it / watch it on YouTube. It's got so many layers going on.
Yeah, there must be like an Ian Lee narrated how do they make this about it.
They just get Heston Blumenthal does it with his nitrogen.
Yeah,
probably is that. They probably got him
in a big canister of it in the factory.
In the Roundtree's factory.
Heston Blumenthal could play Mr. Freeze. Just thought about that with his liquid nitrogen gun.
I wish he was here with a liquid nitrogen gun right now. Cool this place down.
Just shoot me in the face, Mr. Freeze. You'll die. It's fine. It's fine. How do you feel about ice poles / ice pops? What do you call them? The long, thin ones?
I call them... Yeah, I think I say ice pop.
I say ice pop.
Ice pop?
Yeah.
I say ice pole. That's a Bristol thing, strange. I think. That's weird, isn't it? Yeah.
And it's like a big Australian thing, ice poles, isn't it? And then I know a lot of people go with Tip Tops, but I think that's like a brand which is older than me.
Yeah,
possibly.
Mr. Freeze is the big brand.
Mr. Freeze
is the big brand, and I had to go for like a brand I didn't recognize called like Arctic Pop or something like that, and they look piss poor. They look really pale, like there's not quite enough juice in them.
See, I've got some Mr. Freezes, but I was very disappointed on two fronts. One, all natural colours.
Oh.
Those E numbers, the fact it's an E number means it's European approved, guys. Come on.
Come on, guys.
And secondly, I think probably as an extension of no artificial colours, the biggest blow of all, no blue. AKA the best flavour for anything to be.
Blue raspberry.
Bubblegum.
Just a blue. Blue raspberry. Just blue in general. More blue foods.
It's not raspberry. It's not bubblegum. It's just blue flavoured, all right? Blue flavoured.
What flavour is this? Fucking blue, mate. Get in.
Feels weird that we're not reviewing a hot horror movie. I don't mean the sense of breasts, although I mean like a desert horror movie or some kind of...
You could say it's a hot horror movie because it's one of the most popular titles on Netflix currently.
Yeah.
One of them. 3 of them.
Because we've got so much to do. Did we want to do horror news and stuff? Or we
can have... What else is in the news? Is there anything super significant?
Yeah, let's not mix up the format too much, but we will try and keep because it's the first time we've done a trilogy on the show, isn't it? I think we've done double bills a few times
Mhm.
before. First time we've done a trilogy, so we're going to be a bit more brief in terms of how detailed we are when going into the plot. We're going to
Full of
be
spoilers, though. Spoiler alert.
full of spoilers, but a bit of a skim rather than a deep dive. So I'll do a quick little horror news run through. Literally just before we decided to record, the Malignant trailer dropped online. James Wan's new directorial horror output. So he's currently busy doing Aquaman, but he's decided to do a bit of spooky stuff. I started watching the trailer again. Another one of those trailers that seems to show a hell of a lot. So I kind of was kind of paying attention, kind of not. But to me, just from looking at the trailer briefly, it doesn't look like it's too crazy in terms of what to expect from the creator of the Conjuring universe. It kind of looks like it fits pretty nicely into that, even though it's apparently like a new vision of terror, essentially. So it's about a character called Madison who's paralyzed by shocking visions of grisly murders, and her torment worsens as she discovers that these waking dreams are in fact terrifying realities. Annoying when that happens, isn't it?
There you go.
Yeah, I'm not going to
Yeah.
watch that trailer. I'm going into that completely blind.
Yeah. It's
Don't
a horror
blame you.
movie at the cinema, and we do a weekly podcast about horror movies. So I'm imagining we'll probably end up watching it. So
I think
he's got my money already. Well done, James.
I'm starting to feel like horror movie trailers are really struggling because it feels like they have to hit certain beats. They have to show scares. They have to really cover the plot so that people understand what the film's about and what's happening. And I don't feel like other trailers suffer so much with that. I feel like
No.
horror movies really do suffer from showing like way too much.
Showing a bit too much. I think the only other victims of that are comedy movies where they give
Yep.
like, you know, a couple of the best jokes in the movie are in it. And I get it. You've got to show that your movie's funny.
And then
But-
when you watch the movie and the same joke is delivered but slightly differently, like it's a different take of it, that's confusing.
It bothers you.
What?
I'd like to see
confused.
horror
That's off.
movie. I'd like to see horror movie trailers go back to when they were like PSAs with like a really serious voice going, seriously, don't just watch this. You'll shit your pants. It's
I want
fucking-"
Stephen King to tell me he's going to scare the pants off of me.
Yeah.
Look me right in the eye.
And then just a black
watch
screen and him saying, actually, don't watch it because you'd have to be pretty tough to watch this movie. And then people would go,
I'm tough.
tell me what to do. I'm
I'm
well
nails.
tough. I'll be in.
Yeah.
I'll be right.
I'll watch
in
it
there.
twice. 2 tickets, please.
2 tickets. You're on your
I'll
own.
watch
as
it
well.
twice.
That's
Twice
that's
at
how
the same
hard-
time.
That's
With
how
a
hard you are. What else we got? So Grady Hendrix, all for Grady Hendrix. A lot of his books are getting snapped up, and slasher book, The Final Girl Support Group, which was only just released, like came out in what, July the 13th. So 1 week ago. Apparently, Andy Muschietti, so the director of It Chapter 1 and 2, joining forces with Charlize Theron to produce a planned series adaptation for HBO Max. So yeah, pretty interesting.
There you go.
What
It
was the
quite
other
often
thing?
happens though, right? Like people hit and they're obviously popular, then those Hollywood types will come snapping, grabbing their
It's weird.
things before the price goes up.
Usually like on the back of something being popular, though, isn't it? And I don't think any adaptation of his work has been released yet because
He
what's the
had that
exorcism one
film.
called?
Well, I think he was writing screenplays originally, and
Okay.
he had that film come out. It's like called Mohawk, I think. It's on Netflix. That was a screenplay he wrote, and
Okay.
he's a bit of a weird because he seems to have been around for a long time within the film environment, and then he had the Paperbacks from Hell thing go
Yeah.
mad. And he also started putting out these horror books that also seem to be doing extremely, extremely well. So I think he's on the up and up. I think there'll probably be like a few movies coming out around the same time and picking him up and riding the Grady Hendrix hype train.
Riding that hype train
Yeah.
all the way to the bank.
He wears like really snappy suits as well, like white suits and funky ties.
I don't
Yeah.
think I've ever.
That's
Seen
the
a
difference
picture.
between him and us. Not the volume of work that's been very well received that he's put out. It's just
Yeah.
he's got an accessory. He's got a thing.
We need a thing. What kind of thing do we need? A monocle?
Yeah, monocles,
Between us.
special hats.
Hats we can do.
Hats.
Yeah.
Yeah, hats are good. I kind of I was going to go bareback and not wear a hat for this episode because of the heat. But I've never done that, and I feel like I'm changing too much. You know, missing an episode, not wearing a hat. I feel like I'm not going to know who I am anymore
Yeah.
if I keep mucking about like this.
I like to take it off sometimes, keep people guessing. Who's that again?
Yeah. Who else? This guy?
One day we should just get our respective partners to do the episode and just not announce it at all. Just pretend like nothing's happened.
Yeah.
No one make a question. Golden hair.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll get a really good wig, and then Andy could shave his head, and then one day we'll just turn up and not mention it.
Yeah.
Golden hair swapped.
Swapped over. I saw your old picture that you put on from your old computer today, Luke. There, right there.
I mean, that was like towards the tail end of the hair. There wasn't much there, and in certain lights, that was the kind of hair where I wouldn't like to go underneath a light.
This sounds like a Dr. Seuss like book. The way you're talking at the moment.
What do you mean?
The last of the hair. The hair was there. There was the hair. Go under the light.
Where the hair? That's what it's called. I'm still looking for it. I haven't finished that one.
It's a good one.
Yeah.
Literally, the last piece of horror news I've got is a movie I mentioned a couple of weeks ago. Is the filmmaker who made Raw, Julia Ducournau. Her film Titane has won the top prize at Cannes Film Festival.
The tip top prize.
The tip top prize, and apparently
The
it's
golden
a body horror.
can.
The golden
can
of soup. The golden can of soup. Minestrone.
Look, cans.
As it's being billed as a body horror, for that to win the top prize at Cannes Film Festival, very exciting. I'm excited. Want to see it. Rule was great, so give me a bit.
Is it called Cannes Film Festival because films used to come in canisters?
It's just the town where it is.
I mean, that's a far better story, though, Luke. That's a far better reason.
They named the town after the films that everyone brings their films here. We'll name the town.
Great.
Yeah.
Well, that's pretty much it for horror news. Don't want to go over the top. So I guess, has anyone seen anything worth mentioning?
Just
maybe
whole bloody trilogy of Fear Street, mate. That's my watching for the week.
Yeah. Did you go crazy and watch them all like in 1 week or in one go? Or
it's been the last few film nights we had. Like watched the third one yesterday, and then every couple of days between those ones.
I think I mostly watched them the week they came out, so there was a bit of a delay between watching them all, but yeah, still linked up nicely. Have you seen anything else at all? Anything else worth mentioning? I got a couple of bits.
I have been playing more in isolation, and I feel like I was coming down on it a bit too harshly last week. It was too hard. I've just been a right newbie. I needed to get good, and I got a bit. I didn't get good, but I got a bit good.
You have to be less bothered, and you're fine.
Yeah, that's it. You have to be less bothered, and you just kind of feel free to get caught and eaten a few times, and then you kind of learn the maps a bit. And also the save points. The first few times they seem to be miles apart from each other, but they seem to be more and more of them.
You get to backtrack a little bit as well. It gets a bit more familiar. How much have you got left to go?
Well, I just did the bit. I've got a flamethrower now, and I just did the bit before where it kind of recreates Alien, where you go onto the planet. I can't remember what it's called off the top of my head, and you're like going into you find a space jockey, and you go and find the eggs and stuff. It's really, really cool. Yeah, I'm really into it. I'm really, really liking it at the minute.
I'd like to play it again because it's been a little while, and massive challenge. I felt it's definitely one of these games I felt super accomplished when I completed it.
Yeah,
because it felt like I'd really earned it, you know. But you haven't seen anything this week, Luke?
I finished watching the Loki TV show. It's not really horror.
Behind on that, I've only watched 2. I've heard it's good.
I think it's okay.
Oh.
Yeah, it's all right. It's good. I feel like the aesthetic design of it is the best. One of the best things Marvel have ever done.
It's a
the
bit
music's amazing. The design, the set design is fantastic.
It looks a bit like Control, doesn't it? The game, especially inside the
that's
TVA.
What it is. Yeah, that kind of weird office environment. Yeah. Owen
I've only
Wilson
seen-
as well is fantastic. He's really. I don't know. Owen Wilson. Every scene he's in, he just kind of oozes this kind of. He doesn't seem to. He just seems to be completely in the character. Like there's no point of you thinking this is a TV show. It's just Owen Wilson being
Either that or like he is playing himself. A bit like when you see other people that do that. Denzel Washington is quite often Denzel Washington in things, right? And he's great. He's a very good Denzel Washington. Some would say the best. But like has such a personality that effectively you hire him now to play himself.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Owen Wilson is the same, but I'm not complaining. I'm not complaining at all.
I've only seen 3 episodes, and I'm really keen to watch the rest because I've seen a few spoilers on Twitter, but it's not like spoilers where I'm like, it's kind of spoilers where I go, ooh, I want to see that. I want to see how that pans out in the episode.
The same. So. I think it's unavoidable to, I won't say in case you haven't been or in case other people haven't. I think Twitter's made it unavoidable to see that they've announced future villains and so on. But I will catch up on it.
Yeah, same here. I want to get around to it. This week I watched the Resident Evil Infinite Darkness series on Netflix. I say series, it's like 4 episodes, which are like 26 to 28 minutes long, which kind of felt like, I don't know, I expected more than that. And it feels like it could have easily worked as a feature-length movie. They've done 3 of these before. Why not just do another one? Animation's great, but I think the plot is kind of lacking. And considering it's got Leon Kennedy and Claire Redfield in it, they get like pretty much no time to interact with each other, and all of the other characters are kind of just a bit naff. And the final big bad is also a bit naff. So I was left a bit disappointed, really, a bit underwhelmed by that, which is frustrating. You guys haven't seen that?
No, I was going to watch it, but I don't think I will now.
Well, I mean,
I might casually put it on. It might be something that I have on in the background when I'm doing stuff. It's got the switch on or something like that, and I'll have a bit of that.
Yeah.
Considering it's a series, it's not much of a commitment, you know. Usually with a series, you're like, am I going to watch a series? I've heard it's not so good, but because it's just 4 pretty short episodes, you like kind of through it. It was just 2 evenings for me, and that was kind of it.
Well, I'm still invested in the new one that's coming out, the real life one with Bad Wesker Dad and the Wesker kids.
Bad Dad Wesker and the Wesker offspring. Yep. And the only other thing I saw, which I think is going to be the Hawk and Cleaver movie night, isn't it, on Saturday, which is a classic horror story.
Yeah. What's it called?
A classic horror story.
A classic horror story.
the way I said it then was like, and it's a classic horror story, is it? Or what's it called? It's a classic horror story. Yeah, I'll get that, but what's it called? What's the title of the film?
It's a classic horror story. I know that. What is the name of the story?
It's a classic horror story. Well, I'll be the judge of that. All right, I'll be the judge if it's a classic. I
know all the classics. You tell me.
I'm on a podcast, you know, almost 200 episodes now of horror movies. I should know. It's a film that like borrows a lot from other films. It leans heavily into certain tropes, which I guess is like the point. I kind of felt like that was the point. I find it a bit clunky in places, but the final third is pretty cool, I think. And it stars Matilda Anna Ingrid Lutz, who's in that movie Revenge, which I've not seen.
Oh, yeah.
But I've seen pictures of her like holding a shotgun.
I really liked it.
And she seems like a really good, like, well, in terms of how it experienced her performance in this movie, a great sort of like final girl.
Who's the director of that one?
The director of A Classic Horror Story. Hang on a minute.
It's a well-known director.
Roberto De Feo and Paolo Stripoli. So it's a duo.
Okay.
It's a well-known director. The director is classic horror director.
It's a master of horror. No.
The master of horror. No, it's not. But that's it. Apart from doing lots of Fear Street, visiting Fear Street 3 times.
Absolutely shotgun in that series.
Right. Exactly. Fear Street, part 1.
Part 1. So I guess like talking about it in general, there's 3 movies. telling an interlinked story through 3 decades. So starting off in 1994, then 1978, and 1666. The stories kind of linked together, and it loops back round to 1994 at the end. It's kind of like the overarching thing is 1994, isn't it? So, Fear
Based on the
Street,
novels by
based on the novels by Rulston. What's his name? R.L. Stine. There he is.
Ronald Leslie Stine.
Ronald Leslie Stine. Did you guys read these books at all?
No, I didn't even know they existed, to be honest.
I didn't know these existed at all. I was aware of his work on Goosebumps, obviously, but I didn't know anything about Fear Street.
No. Point Horror, is that R.L. Stine as well or not?
Point Horror.
Yeah.
I'll be honest, the only R.L. Stine, I just thought he did Goosebumps books. I didn't think he did anything else.
Yeah, I thought he was just like his sort of children's entry to horror stuff. From when we were kids, because when I was a kid, it was quite popular, and the TV show was a thing at the same time.
We used to get like I don't know what they would have called him, but like maybe a week before in primary school, they send out like a catalogue, and you take the books you want, and then they bring them around like a portable library thing, and it was dead exciting because everyone would like just be showing their Goosebumps books to each other that they've got, just feeling the covers because they had like raised bits on the covers, like
Any particular favorite Goosebumps book?
Don't think I actually read them.
The Haunted Mask was good, and also a good episode. I like things like Say Cheese and Die. That was a good one.
Is that the camera one?
Yep. Killer Camera.
Is that all that Ryan Gosling is in? He's in one of them.
Oh yeah. See,
I don't remember that many. I remember the one with the big ants. Was there one with big ants at the end?
Basically, there's so many Goosebumps books come the end that you can name anything, and there's been a Goosebumps book based on it. What about the one with
the lady with the hair and the
killer shoes? Yeah, she
mace.
had those shoes on. The mace and the fish fingers. Yeah, that was great.
Yeah.
So just checking. Point Horror wasn't just R.L. Stine; it was R.L. Stine and a few other people. But that was the thing I was familiar with. That was kind of like the next step up. So Goosebumps was obviously like kids, I guess, or like I think Point Horror was more like a young adult sort of thing.
Would this be classed as young adult horror? Fear Street.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, because the kids were meant to be a little bit like, I think looking into it when I was looking at when this came out and realized it was a lot earlier than I thought as well. It was based at sort of your older teenage crowd, still young adult, I think. And then as a result, the kids in the stories are aged up as well, as we see in this film, right? Because they're all meant to be sort of roughly the age where they are about to or have just left school, right? It's like they're like 17, 18, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So rather than do each one individually, I'll just say the Fear Street Trilogy is an American horror film series with varying subgenres of horror, directed by Leigh Janiak. From scripts and stories she co-wrote with other contributors, but they are mainly based on R.L. Stine's book series of the same name. But I mean, it's quite
they weren't. Sorry, go on. Well, I was just going to say there weren't books. This wasn't like there weren't free books.
No.
Okay.
No.
So she's kind of picked and choose and like.
I think so. Yeah.
Made a thing.
Yeah, looking at the titles, like the first one is called like Killer Cheerleaders or something like that. So I think she's taken the. Okay. I think like she's taken the concept. I'm not sure if the witch thing is part of it and the mythos that was underneath it, and maybe she's tied into that, but a lot of this is her work based on the world. From what
I'll just say then, pretty impressive work. There's a Leigh Janiak person who's done a trilogy of very consistent in quality movies, I would say.
And I think she's only directed one film before, one feature. So there's quite an undertaking, especially with like Netflix on your case.
Yeah. And I understand as well that like they've tried to be adaptations of this in the past that either haven't done so well or have been ill-fated and not made it. So before we even get into the movies, like what a success to write and direct a trilogy of really consistent movies that
all comes together or works together. Really, I don't think there's anything majorly. I mean, we'll go into our pet peeves or whatever if we have any, but I think overall really consistently well done. Like hats off to them for pulling this one off.
I think we can address the elephant in the room earlier. You know, we are a team behind a series of horror stories that came out last Halloween that had like an interlinking history. So I was very ready to be critical of this. Big business doing a similar idea to what we did, but can't really
did think
criticize
that.
It's really
you know,
great. It's really strong.
Especially considering like the witchy thing as well. It's kind of strange that the Halloween horrors of Old Mill Lane, a Hawk and Cleaver original for the other stories, it kind of reminded me of this in a sense, especially in terms of like the time periods that we go back and forth from. So
yeah,
that's enough about us. So
but even without our help, which you didn't need, Leigh Janiak has done a great job of this, and I was, you know, like you say, having worked on something similar, and we worked really hard to connect these things together, I was consistently impressed by the way things looped back around, and it's clearly a lot like with another thing that it's impossible to avoid comparisons with, your MCU movies that have been designed and written with interlinking stories in their very like DNA. Even in the subtle details, there are little bits that are going to come back around. You know, to the point of in the two periods we see in the 90s, a door that sticks in the third one, and then in the first one rather, and then we don't think about for 5 hours of movie, and then it's right towards the end that door's going to stick again. Great work, great little details in there. So already consistently done. High praise for it.
So the first movie, the 1994 movie, Fear Street Part 1, follows a group of teenagers in Shadyside who are terrorized by an ancient evil responsible for a series of brutal murders that have plagued the town for centuries. So you got Shadyside and Sunnyvale. Kind of reminds me of Springfield and
Shelbyville.
that sort of rivalry, you know, that we've got going on. I can't think of the name there.
Riverdale as well. It's in there. Sunny side.
Riverdale, and I guess this one, if you're gonna assign like a style of movie to each one, this is like the Scream teen slasher, isn't it? It kind of captures that pretty well. So character wise, I mean, there's a lot of people going on, but the main character is Dina, played by Kiana Madeira. Olivia Scott Welch is Samantha Fraser, and then there's like loads of other characters like the friends, I guess. Josh, Kate. What's the younger brother's name?
Brother's name is
Josh, and brother
Josh.
Here we go. That's it. And then the other characters are kind of like killers, I guess. There's like a series of killers from the past who find their way into this modern world as well. So I guess they're ghostly.
You know they are, Ben. When you see them appearing, they're a bit venomy, aren't they, Ben?
Yeah.
It's them bloody venoms. They're easy to CGI, I guess, because when they're not in human form, when they need to be CGI'd, you just make them a big old black goo.
Big old blobby.
Very, very versatile. Yeah. And render it easily.
These like killers from the past are summoned by a witch of some sort, or a curse, or what is it? I guess that's
just the witch. The witch.
Just
the
witch.
The baddies. The evil force can control these old killers from the past.
That's right. And all the killers are kind of like, I guess not. I don't want to say rip-offs, but they're very highly inspired by various killers from various things. So you've got like a Jason Voorhees type. You've got a Ghostface type.
Little one.
What else? Little one.
Got a Chucky.
You got a Chucky. You got an evil milkman.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, with the burnt face. Yeah.
The evil milkman's got a burnt face. So was he a Freddy?
I guess he's a Freddy.
He
Probably.
does some
Freddy,
face licking as well. So he's also.
There was a big guy as well. A big guy, and I didn't really pay attention to him until the third film, where I was like, "Where's this guy come from?"
Which one was that?
Oh, he's the one that drowns kid. You literally see him in like a flashback, don't you? And he's got like a sort of schnoz mask on. Like
mask on.
Oh, I thought he was like the guy that was a grass from the first Star Wars that tells the stormtroopers on him. He's like him, isn't he?
So he's kind of like I don't know. I'm gonna say like a leather face just because of his size.
Yeah, he's got a leathery in face, doesn't he?
Yeah. So I mean, not rip-offs, but highly inspired by famous killers, I guess. Not real famous killers, but famous fictional slasher murderer types.
The first one even starts with a riff. I would say a riff on the Scream kill at the start.
Yeah.
With the
definitely.
Ghostface killer. So the formula is you have a pretty popular TV star, movie star at the start. It was Drew Barrymore in Scream. This time it's Maya Hawke. There's a lot of Stranger Things people. Well, there's two. There's two Stranger Things people.
And even this opening sequence feels like we're in the mall from Stranger Things, doesn't it?
Yeah,
it probably is the same set.
Got vibes of both.
Yeah, it looks exactly the same.
And that's why they were there. It's like if you go to Ramsey Street in Australia and sometimes the cast are about, they went to that mall from Stranger Things and those guys were just hanging out.
Yeah.
Hanging out. There's a tree in the middle of this mall as well, and that's key to the story.
I clocked that as soon as it came on. I was like, Chekhov's tree.
Chekhov's tree. So yeah, there's like woman gets murdered, and then we're introduced to all of this. We're introduced to all these other characters. The guy who murders her is dressed in like a skeleton Halloween costume. He gets shot to death.
He seems normal at the first. He just seems like a normal slasher. So I think there's a whole routine here. So the people are normal people at first, and then the flies start buzzing around them, and they become possessed. And then they kill someone, they get killed, and at that point, the witch is able to. Well, apparently, the witch is able to summon these people she's possessed in the past.
Puts them in a collection, so they get weakened in a battle. Then she catches them like a little Pokemon in a goo, and then she can call them out whenever she needs them.
Exactly. Yeah.
So it's Sarah Fear, who apparently placed a curse on the town before being executed for witchcraft in 1666, and Fear is spelled F-I-E-R, not stylized as F-E-A-R. But I see what they did there.
Yeah, people couldn't spell in the old days, could they? So
exactly, yeah. So the main character Dina, doesn't really believe in this whole shebang, does she?
Yeah. Well, they all live in Shadyside, Dina and all of the guys. She's recently broken up with her girlfriend Sam. She's from the good side. She's just moved, hasn't she? That's why they're broken up. She's moved to
Shelbyville.
Yeah, I always get confused. Sunnydale, Sunnyvale, because one is Buffy, one is this.
Yeah, I think Sunnydale is Buffy. Yeah.
I mean, it is literally drawing so many things from popular culture in the 90s, but
I think that's what really brings that feeling to it. Yeah. She's broken up with her, but they'll be thrown together in the course of this, and we meet a couple of other characters who, while they only really feature in this one, are quite significant points, right? So it's Dina's two friends at school who, I got to take it back. As I was going through the movie, I felt a bit bad for thinking what absolute douches at the start. I hope you two get murdered. I think you're meant to think that because they are meant to be like losers, right? There's like they both sell drugs at school, and the guy
they sell drugs at school. Like no one seems to care that like someone's been murdered. There's like dragging like a scarecrow that they've made of the girl who got murdered through the school. Like,
literally, a guy walks up to the dead girl's locker and like scratches with a knife in it. R.I.P. And it's like, do you want to be seen with a knife on the day there's just been a?
I don't care. All right, I'm unhinged.
I'm edgy.
I'm so edgy. So yeah, Dina's younger brother Josh knows all about the town's history. He's done a load of research. He's got a load of files. He's got classic stuck things on the wall, trying to make links.
He's been on the BBS, hasn't he? He's been on the boards.
AOL chat, which
I'm
pretty sure 94. That doesn't line up with it. He's on AOL chat at one minute and he goes to play Sega Mega Drive or something the next. I think that's
hang on a
bit
minute.
of a gap. Yeah,
playing Castlevania.
I felt like that with some of the music choices as well. I guess you can be a bit vague. It doesn't have to be something that was released in 1994, but there was a few things I was like, hang on a minute, that was later than that. We just talk a bit about the needle drops in this film, because there are a lot. It feels like scene to scene to scene is like a popular song, and you don't really get the chance to enjoy it before it's gone again.
Sometimes twice in a scene. You said that I was watching this movie thinking like,
Yeah.
geez, like, do you have any money left to pay the actors? Because you have spent a ton on your licensing. Because
I
like
find it
literally,
really
especially that one where they go to the school. I
Yeah.
think there's literally 3. I forget the names of the songs now, but there's a song that's playing as they are walking into school. Then Josh sees the girl that he fancies, the bad one that sells drugs, and we get another song.
It like
and then
fades
it goes
straight into it though, which is really odd. It doesn't like stop; it just fades into it.
Yeah,
Crossfades.
it's like a mega mix.
Yeah.
And I feel like sometimes when films do that, like I felt when we got to the 1666 version, I was kind of relieved in a way because I was like, we don't have to hear the constant song choices.
I was
Barrage of
expecting
music.
some like medieval, like medieval versions of.
It's a banger, that is, mate.
Yeah.
Medieval versions of Smells Like Teen Spirit or something.
Yeah. Marty
Well, I
McFly
liked,
comes out and does Johnny Be Good.
Oh,
They
God.
did it
Not
started
ready
off
for that
with
yet.
the Nirvana cover of Man Who Sold the World.
It did,
And I
yeah.
think the
Yeah.
David Bowie version of that film, that song is in the second one, I think. And it
Oh,
would have been good to
okay.
get a medieval version of that one in the 1666 one.
That would have been
But hey,
consistent.
but hey.
I mean, I find it a bit off-putting when there are songs like that. I think in a movie, if there's like 3 or 4 good
Yeah.
songs chosen at sort of decent places, then yeah, I hated the fact that the finale of the final sort of like the epilogue of the final movie was Oasis as well, because that's never made me feel any form of emotion other than anger. So, so I was just like, oh, for God's sake! We've
done it, have we? Have you though?
I think what I'm trying to say is sometimes it felt a bit obvious. You know what I mean? Like someone going, you know, the night is, and someone's gone, oh yeah, Oasis. Stick an Oasis track in there. It just felt a bit obvious. Like a lot of the choices, I was like, okay, I get it, but you know, really, I know we're supposed to feel like we're in the 90s, but was it like this?
I think that's one of those things. People say that sometimes a great soundtrack, and I know they're talking about BGM, but you don't always notice it's there. But other times it is great. There are filmmakers that do it very well. I think, for example, James Gunn is probably my go-to. I think he uses music incredibly well. It's a story driving part of like both of the Guardians of the Galaxy films. I did note that about 3 of the tracks were directly in the 1970s second part of this as well, like literally from the same album. But then there are others. I think the worst culprits in the last couple of years were maybe Suicide Squad. Suicide Squad, and your friend and mine. I think the only one I took note of recently was when we saw Army of the Dead, and our old mate Zack Snyder opened with Zombie by the Cranberries, which it does have zombie in the title, absolutely, but it is about kids dying in a terrible like ongoing troubles in a country. Not sure it's
yeah.
I didn't hate it, to be fair. The Army of the Dead choices, because I feel like I don't know something about it I didn't hate, but with this one I found it a bit overwhelming.
Well, there was just a lot, wasn't there? I think I've been kind of waiting for this to come, this whole 90s nostalgia thing, because we had a lot of the 80s stuff a couple of years ago, and it was obvious that we were just going to be moving on to the 90s. And now it also feels weird because I grew up in the 90s. So I don't know. I'm not as into it as I was the 80s stuff. I don't know. It's a bit close to home, I guess.
You do realize that because we're going through the 90s now, it's only a matter of time before the Venga bus is coming.
Oh my God, it's always on the way. It's always on the way.
In the distance, just did as they approach.
Just used randomly in this film, like as the school bus was turning up. Oh, for fuck's sake, Jesus Christ! Turn it in.
By the way, so I guess another really solid element of the film I thought was the kills, like the gore was surprisingly shocking at times as well, especially the kill in the first one. In fact, I will say the kills, I got a bit bored in the first one. It felt like it was dragging quite a bit, and then the kills started to happen towards the end, and then it's because they were like kills to characters that you didn't think they were going to die, and they like died in super brutal ways. So that the kind of this is a bit weird. She's a drug dealer, but she's also kind of a model student or something.
Yeah, got a heart of gold. She's just trying to get out of the rotten old town, isn't she?
There's
As we reveal.
There's a bit with the drug dealer girl is like getting these two girls she's babysitting to count the drugs, and she's like, "Oh, when you're finished, you can." What does she say? You can. I can't remember. She says, "When you're finished, you could do something." If you look, there's like 12 pills.
She's like,
That's
"No,
not-
do not eat these because you'll die."
It's going to take 20 seconds to sort these pills out. Then what? You lazy bitch.
Yeah. This is just showing that she's an entrepreneur.
Although she's very brainy, and we know this because her head gets split open in several ways, and we get to see all them brains.
A bread
She's quite
slicer.
clever.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And I never got the other guy that's in it. What is their relationship? Because at first I'm like, oh, is that her boyfriend? But then
No,
she doesn't seem to mind when he doesn't care at all when there's a chance that like.
I feel like I know that guy. It's weird. I feel like I grew up with that guy and coming to gigs. Kind of a strange, loud, ambiguous guy who's always drunk and singing.
Everyone's got that friend in their group. If you don't know one, then it's you. You that is the person who, in years to come, when people all had mobile phones in the late 90s, he is the guy who you do not answer the phone to if he phones you after 9 o'clock at night because it's no good.
Absolutely
no good at all.
Maybe even earlier.
Yeah. If there's any chance that he's already out and on it, then you don't answer. Simon is his name. Is that right?
Yeah. He's like a bit androgynous. Definitely an interesting character. A character I thought was a dickhead initially. But
I was like, you're no good, mate. You warm up to him though, and then they reveal towards the end after his tragic axing that he was the kid who was working a job since he was like 12 or something like that because he was supporting his family.
Yeah.
So like it does make you feel bad for going, oh, I thought you were a dickhead when this film started. I'd been sucked up in the whole Sunnydale Shadyside scenario.
Yeah, I think that's
the whole rivalry.
Kind of the point, isn't it? With from the outside looking in, they do seem kind of not like good people.
Yeah.
Whereas they are really. So he gets an axe to the head. In a kind of comes out of nowhere in a brutal way. It's weird seeing those characters die. You kind of felt like they were going to live all the way through.
Yeah. And this is where it really shows the certificate in it as well, because I didn't like when I put these films on, I saw it was advertised. I saw it was based on R.L. Stine books. And then you flick onto Netflix and put it on. These films are 18 certificate. Yeah. And I was like, wow. Yeah. I thought an 18 is quite hard to get these days, right? You have to be pretty brutal. And they do. Like the deaths of these characters as they eventually come is very graphic.
So I guess the reason why these characters are being stalked by various killers is because there's like an accident where Sam ends up disturbing the body of Sarah Fear. She touches her bones. She has a vision of like Sarah Fear when she was knocking about in 1666, being accused of witchcraft and all that stuff. Yeah. Terrible time.
She's having a bad time. And Sarah Fear's a vengeful person, always showing people visions, always coming after them hard.
And I don't 100% know why, but I guess what happens is the killers are now after Sam, but for some reason the other people kind of get swept up in it.
Well, so it's after anything that's got her blood on it.
That's right.
So she kind of like sneezes a little blood on one of the guys. Though, I'm afraid it's not consistent. Later on when they come back to this one, this era in the third film, there's a bit where one of the killers just kills someone randomly. And then he had nothing to do with anything.
Oh, like the nurse at the hospital that's just dead. It's like, oh, yeah. So it's if you've got their blood on them, or
and
it's
you're a
just
main
because
character. If you've got their blood on them and you're a main character.
But then you think, okay, well maybe if they're just like in the way, like if you just kind of stood in the way, they'll go, I've got a knife. There's a person here.
No, I'll get you, but they won't look for you. They won't seek you out.
But like at the end, one of them says, Britta from Community says, they without the blood on it, they'll walk right past you. And there's a bit where I think it's the younger brother, like this killer literally just walked within stabbing distance. Like he doesn't have to go out of his way to stab this kid, and he just walks straight past him. So it's not that consistent on that.
And then later, when they actually engage with the monsters, then they will fight them again. But yeah, you're right. There are some logic drops in there, but for all intents and purposes, they are
logic drops.
There's another
attracted to the blood.
Yeah.
Another key character is Nick Good, Detective Good, like the police officer in Shady Side. No. Yeah. Where are we?
He's from the good side.
He's from the good side. He's from
the light
Sunnydale.
side. Yeah.
Got you.
His whole place with
brother is also the
mayor.
the prime minister.
It's the prime minister of Sunnydale. Yeah. But yeah, you're right. Another major character that we see across the different time periods, a guy in the place with a bittersweet face, goes by the name of Sheriff Good.
Yeah.
There's no evidence that his friends do call him Isa, but he is he's all amongst it. He's all
So
one last thing I want to mention in this film is sorry, I think we're going to go to it anyway, Ben. Well, you carry on.
I was literally just going to say that while being stalked, they work out that there was a survivor of a previous attack, this Camp Nightwing massacre in 1978, and they find out that the person who died there was resuscitated. So essentially, the person in 1978 who was being stalked in the way Sam was now died and was resuscitated and somehow survived. So they think, right, that's the key to it. We've got to kill Sam, resuscitate her, and then all the scary murderers will just leave us alone.
Give up because they think they've got her. Yeah, they'll find a destination to her.
But they do it in a horrible way to like get her to like take a load of drugs from a supermarket pharmacy dry. They don't guzzle it down with a bottle of Evian. They just go, get these pills down you. And while this is happening, all the killers are kind of like essentially murdering all of the other characters. So like Kate gets stuck in a bread slicer, Simon gets an axe to the head, and Dina's just like drowning Sam. It's just horrific, really. You're just like, oh god.
Yeah, she's drowning.
Made a real meal of this.
And all the time thinking, if you're going to do the drugs plan, couldn't you've done it in the ambulance that you'd stolen while you're driving around?
Yeah.
Stay from. I guess you know what. Can't do that. Exactly. Wouldn't be such an interesting film.
There's also a part as well where they steal a gun from the sheriff, and then they've got a gun. Oh, great, they've got a gun. But then they use it immediately to like shoot Ruby, one of the killers, and then drop the gun and just leave it.
Yeah,
did that happen?
Yeah.
So well, I've used it to shoot you twice. I'll leave this now.
I don't need this gun anymore.
That prop has fulfilled its usefulness. Back into the ambulance that we've also stolen. They're always stealing civic property.
Shady Side is.
How they bring Sam back from the dead though is like an EpiPen and CPR. I'm like, would that work in that way? There's a lot of dodgy CPR in this. Like someone gets stabbed in the second film and then brought back to life with just CPR.
CPR is one of those things. Obviously, I'm in the situation of my wife works, in hospitals. So then I'm sitting there and she's like, "You've drowned. So like your lungs are full of water. What are you doing with EpiPens? And also, you've given her about 50. Your heart's going to explode." Because also, like, if your heart has stopped, there's nothing circulating. So right now, she's full of water, and you've just put loads of adrenaline in her heart, not going anywhere. And then
definitely dead forever.
Yeah, the classic, like, she's not pumping hard enough. You got to pump a lot harder than you think on.
I heard CPR literally just keeps blood pumping until the ambulance arrives. Is that right?
Yeah, like it's not like I think it's a myth that. People come back. I guess drowning, you could force water out of people's lungs by doing it. But if your heart has actually stopped, primarily it's to keep you going until you can get actual help. Yeah. There's not that many people. I'm sure it's not unheard of, but there are not that many people.
And you do it to
I'm better now.
Staying Alive by the Bee Gees.
Yeah. And you've got to push further down than you would think. Like I think really compress their chest really far down. Like it's not unusual that you'd break someone's rib apparently if they're
I heard that through the Heimlich maneuver as well. Apparently breaking a rib isn't unheard of, and it's like you just need to do it if you need to save their life.
Yeah, but
I'm gonna break your ribs.
Yeah, she doesn't need to do it quite hard. She does. She does manage to bring
my favorite ribs.
Really complain about it. Oh, you've broken my rib.
I wasn't even joking. I literally went, Heimlich!
Wasn't even eating anything. It's just a wrestling move you've come up with.
Yeah.
Hi,
Yeah, but it's not all over. And I'll say this about the films as well. I think any one of these, with the exception maybe of the last part of the third one, you could get away with watching this as a standalone. There is clear links to others, especially like in the last 5-10 minutes of each one, but all of them stand alone reasonably well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree. If we had to wait like, I don't know, a couple of years for the next part, I could have done that. It wasn't like I was, I mean, obviously keen to find out what happens next, but at the same time, it wasn't like I was like, right, what's up next? Get another one on.
Yeah.
So obviously when everything kind of ends and they bring Sam back from the dead, the police, I think they blame Simon and Kate, who obviously died.
They say, these bloody
Wrong
druggies,
uns.
they came in there and then sliced their own heads up.
Yeah, Sam and Dina essentially get back together, and you think it's gonna be a nice ending, but then Sam goes all possessed, stabs Dina, who gets a call back from the person who died in 1978, and says, "There's no escaping the witch. She's gonna fuck you up," and that's what happens. So they tie up a possessed Sam and take her. Do they take? Is it this movie where they take her somewhere, or is she just tied up at the end of this one?
I think she's just.
It's just tied up. She calls Sarah Fear. Not
says,
Sarah Fear. Sarah.
What are
Back
you doing?
it in. Not Sarah Fear, Britain.
And she's like, Sean. Yeah.
Back it in.
She's on the phone to the person that calls her back when Sam goes snooker loopy and a name appears. We see
Snooker
loopy.
She's into John Virgo, puts a little waistcoat on. Snooker in you tonight.
Big break stab. But no, she is captured and tied up by the phone cord. And then at some point, I'm not sure if I think it's the start of the next one where they turn up with her tied up and say, we need to talk. I think she shows her brother first. This one ends with her brother's up on the internet. And at the time, we don't know that, for all we know, Dina has been done in by Sam. And it's maybe a cold ending.
Stab wounds don't seem to do much to people in this movie.
Oh, especially that you get a stab wound in the stomach, which I'm pretty sure is a horrible way to die.
It's horrible, slow death, I believe. But obviously that happens in the second film. Someone's stabbed multiple times, probably 24.
What you need is a bit of CPR, though.
Are you all right? Do you want this EpiPen in your heart over and over and over and over?
That's what he was stabbing her with. I thought, I don't know, it's a bloody EpiPen. Now she's really alive.
Yeah.
Now she's really energized and she's coming for me.
She's turned into a being of pure energy, like that end of Futurama when Fry's had all the coffees. He's just really calm. Just pushing the monsters out the way.
Like Mr. Burns when he's glowing.
You would think that if someone had been stabbed, and we'll come to it in a minute, as many times as that lady at the end of number 2 has, if you gave her CPR, you'd just be spraying blood out of her like a sprinkler.
Yeah.
But no,
I mean,
I'm
not a medical expert in any sense, but I was like, this is very silly. I'm not believing this.
Well, my original thought, because we hear in the first one how this person, her heart stopped and she was brought back. I thought, it's set at a lake. Trivia on this film, filmed at the same place as Friday the 13th, the original.
Yeah.
Oh, the original.
Yeah,
I heard
second best camp-based horror.
Sleepaway Camp. I heard it was one of the Friday the 13th. I didn't realize it was the first.
I thought I just made an assumption it was the original because of the lake and some of the pictures that were on the post. It could have been one of the others.
Let's say it's the first one because I like that. It's a better story, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a bit nicer. But yeah, we've done the first one. Final, are we going to score everything as we go, or are we going to have a little breakdown and do some rankings of the first one and its 90s glory?
Oh, I'll score this one now.
Yeah.
Regardless of what we decided as a whole. I mean, I'm going to give it a solid C.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if I have to explain myself.
I think, you can explain yourself. I think about probably like a C+. This was probably the one out of all three of them that outstayed its welcome for me the most.
Yeah, that's it. I got bored, is the thing.
It got to a point where I was getting a bit bored. It got to a bit where I was like, in terms of the plot, I just didn't feel invested in really anyone or anything at this stage. And the constant need to just smash me over the head with "This is in the 90s, don't you know? It's the 90s." I was a bit like, all right, I got it. But yeah, for me, it gets better. So I'm glad to start at C+.
I'm with you, Ben. A C plus from me. Like, I like the 90s aesthetic. Like you, I found just the sheer volume of musical stings a little bit much.
Yeah.
But I like a lot of the people in it. I like the references to Scream. I think it was a nice tribute to it. And the action sequences, like that beginning scene and some of the ones towards the end, like the bit in the supermarket where they're being pursued by the baddies. Yeah, it's good. It's got some nice tension to it. But yeah,
I think all the actors are great as well, you know?
Yeah,
All the actors are great.
young crop of like really solid actors. Hopefully they'll stick with the horror genre and continue to do some good stuff in there.
Yeah.
But yeah, a C plus for me. Enjoyable.
Cool.
So the second part, pretty much, we dropped right in after the end of the first part. We're still in 1994. Dina and Josh have restrained Sam, and they take her to. We're saying C. Berman, but her name's Ziggy, isn't it?
Reveal for later, but yeah, she's C. Burnham. But
and she's like obviously a bit paranoid. She's like got loads of locks on the door. She's a bit like what's her name in the latest Halloween movie? Laurie Strode.
Yeah.
Oh, maybe that's deliberate then. Even though it's a different, because otherwise we don't have a. Oh, actually, maybe the Bernie face milkman is a Michael Myers because he's got a funny, smooth face.
Yeah.
He's got a kitchen knife.
Myers lick people. Maybe he does behind the mask.
Freddy's a bit licky. Maybe he's a combination of the two: the lickiness of Freddy, the smooth facedness of Michael Myers.
I've noticed as it's getting darker, my hat is disappearing into the.
It looks like you're being forced to not wear your hat.
All right, just about that, mate. I don't like it.
Yeah, your hat is disappearing into your image there. But yeah, so yeah, we very quickly. You're right. So C. Burnham is paranoid. She's staying in the house at Laurie Strode. She's got plans for everything, but she doesn't manage to lock one of her windows. And we think the monsters have come in, but it's not. It's our heroes from the last one. And then very, very quickly, it's like really just a framing scene, right? To take us into a flashback to 1978.
Yeah. So they bring Sam, who's possessed, to Ziggy, basically asking for help. But then Ziggy's like, "Oh, the last time." So when all this happened was in 1978 at Camp Nightwing, and then my sister got killed. And initially, I was like, "Which one is she supposed to be?"
Yeah, I think you're intended to think she's the other sister, right? Cindy Berman. But for reasons unknown, another thing that I didn't get, we'll come to it at the end of this one. I don't understand why they changed the names, because your parents are going to know, oh, that's my other daughter.
Yeah. It's a bit confusing.
Yeah. C. Burnham. And we have Sadie Sink plays Ziggy, another
Stranger
Things alum.
Another Stranger Things alumni.
She's great, but is on her way to being like typecast in this type of role, right? Like you're a bit of a tomboy kid who's sort of rough and tough.
Rough and tumble. And everyone thinks you're a bloody witch.
Oh, I know.
Right
well
from the
rough
start.
at this beginning.
Yeah.
Things happen in this in terms of like bullying where I'm like, come on, surely not. This is
reminds
ridiculous.
me of I saw similar complaints for Stephen King's It. But the bullies in It, they're gonna carve their initials into one of the kids
into Ben's stomach.
Belly.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. So I mean this time they're gonna like burn her.
Yeah.
I'm gonna cut your ears off and shit down your neck. I don't know.
Yeah, they're gonna burn her. But also the thing that gets me about this scene is it feels like that the lead bully girl would not have a handle on Ziggy Berman at all, because she already like punches her in the face and she has her like feet free and she's quite fighty. And you would imagine that what would happen is the whole thing with the whole Shadyside, Sunnydale thing. It feels like the Shadyside kids are all rougher and come from broken homes. I feel like with a step close to reality, they would terrorize the perfect and privileged Sunnydale kids. They'd be they'd be like burgling their houses, and she would beat the shit out of her.
Yeah.
You're a witch.
I'm
a what?
What? Yeah, and she like practically breaks and she like elbows her in the face at the
Whilst
beginning.
tied up.
Yeah, but
yeah.
Nevertheless, she's still being bullied. But she's rescued by a young fella by the name of Future Sheriff Good.
Yeah, young
It's
Nick
a long
Good.
first name.
So yeah, obviously, I guess in terms of framing this one, if 1994 is like Scream, by the way of like young adults, this is Friday the 13th, isn't it?
This is absolutely Friday the 13th.
Yeah.
Well, like camp slashers, right?
And
Yeah,
I kind of, if you would have like put it out for me and said like what kind of movie would you prefer, like a Scream-esque movie or a Friday the 13th? I always feel like I would definitely go for Scream, but I enjoyed this world so much more than 1994.
Yeah, me too. Yeah,
this is probably my favorite one. Spoilers. Yeah, I think this might be my favorite bit because I don't know, the feeling was good. I think the kills were more spaced out,
and the kills are great.
Yeah.
And I think the mythology, it did a much better job of establishing the mythology and making me care about the characters, but also them resolving this scenario as well. Whereas in the first one, I felt like things were just happening and I was along for the ride. With this one, it felt like I was properly invested.
Yeah,
I
agree.
I think that's to do with the characters. I feel like the lead character in this is quite a bit more interesting, like the underdog kind of character, and also the relationship with her sister was quite interesting. Nice little dynamic there, and also we get more of the I think what it is as well, it feels like we're getting to learn more about the mystery of Sarah Fear as they go underground and they find the blob, and we get to see someone possessed in real time. I don't know. It feels there's more meat there to chew on and get into, and
and it probably does a lot. Like a lot of its strengths could, to be fair to the series here, some of its work and the exposition it doesn't have to do is because there was some of it done in the previous film.
Yeah.
So it is self-contained, but it's other pieces we have. Yeah, we get that. We're able to build on the pieces we've already been given rather than having to put a lot of time into exposition.
Yeah.
So it's kind of there's obviously a moment where a nurse goes a bit nuts, and I think there's like a story. She's the mother
Ruby's
of
mum, the one
right,
that's she's the switch. What's it called? The cutthroat razor killer that we've seen in the first one.
The hairdresser, the Amy Winehouse.
Oh, I didn't even pick that up.
Yeah, Amy Winehouse killer is the daughter.
So she attacks Cindy's boyfriend Tommy, kind of like tries to stab him and says that he's going to die that night. She gets like removed from the camp by the police, and I think the rumor is, she was possessed by Sarah Fear and her daughter was possessed as well. And I think no one actually says it, but I suppose it's supposed to plant that seed where we're like, oh, is Tommy now going to be possessed somehow?
She says that she saw his name on the wall, which we know is what happens when you get bloody possessed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's right.
And
they find a diary as well, don't they? The nurse's diary.
Yeah, the nurse has been investigating, and Cindy Berman, so Ziggy's older sister, is trying to work out what has happened and why this, kind lady who they liked has suddenly gone mad. And she's with her roommate who doesn't like her anymore. They've fallen out because they think she's a blooming snitch.
Snatch.
Yeah. There's also the other two characters. There's the stoner couple.
See, this was another one where it introduced a character who I really was like, oh, for God's sake, they're annoying. Oh, who do they think they are? They think they're so edgy, and they're like, oh, all we want to do is smoke drugs and have sex. And I don't know, the girl character, what was her name? The young girl with the really short
name
hair?
Is
Sheila? No, Sheila's somewhere else. Sheila's. There is a Sheila, but
there is a Sheila. Else. I think she's the enemy, the bully.
Oh, so it's Alice.
Alice.
So she was annoying initially. I was like, oh God, like the way she speaks to Cindy was proper doing my nut. But I guess again, another good thing where we get enough of a backstory about her, where we're like, okay, right, I kind of understand this and understand.
You kind
the
of
plight.
you get sympathy for all these people, and it really builds that picture of their town is a shell. Most of the people's parents are completely absent and/or alcoholics, so everyone has clearly got loads of problems. So not only are there semi-regular terrible murders, but everyone has it's really socially deprived. They have loads of problems that are going on there. So yeah, they're all having a bad time, which is where sort of Cindy Bergen's motivation is that she's tried her best to be as perfect as she can because she intends to get out of the town and move on up to Sunnydale.
Yeah. So obviously they, after finding the diary, they go and try and find Sarah Fear's house, which is apparently somewhere in the woods, isn't it?
Yeah.
Is there a grave? The grave's
there's some
already been dug up
graves
or something?
that have been being dug.
Yeah, because we find out the nurse has been looking for Sarah Fear's missing hand, because that, as the legend goes, is the source of her power. Until you reunite the body and the hand, which the goodies found the body at the in the middle of the first one and reburied it. So, as a viewer, as well, thinking, right, if they find the hand, then you can put the two pieces together, and you've done it. And the nurse has been looking, but she hasn't found it, and that's what all the graves are.
Yeah. And then I think from there's like a hole in the ground or something. That's when they go into it and you find the ritual site.
Yeah. There's like a ritual site, all classic witchy stuff. And then they find the stone as well, a wall basically with all the names of the Shadyside killers carved into it, including Cindy's boyfriend Tommy. I think initially she says to Alice, "You did that," and she's like, "What?
Right.
Done it just right now, did I, with my fingernail?" Yeah, and Tommy pretty much just turns, doesn't he? There's no turns on the other boyfriend.
Yeah,
he grabs an axe from the side. Oh god, he smashed this guy's face in.
Yeah,
like there's not much left of it by the time it's done.
There's a lot of that though with this axe. Obviously Tommy's weapon of choice, but there's a hell of a lot of axe smashing faces.
Yeah, he's one of the mainstays, I would say. And he appeared in a masked form in the first film as well. He has a little difference from a Jason in that he does a run. He'll properly get a sprint on with his axe. So he's quite a menacing force. He's a big guy that can really swing that axe as well. And you're right, like the other boyfriend gets smashed to bloody custard, doesn't he, with this axe, like in front of the other characters. And again, one of the brutal killing scenes, and then we have this maniac on a rampage.
Yeah. So to get away, they go deeper into the cave, and they find there's like a labyrinth. In fact, does one of them get an ankle snapped?
Oh, that's when she touches the pulsating mass, and it gives her a scary vision, and she trips over while she's legging it about.
So she sees loads of ghostly visions of people who've been killed by all of these killers. She snaps her ankle, but then Tommy, while they're all in the labyrinth trying to escape, Tommy just goes up into the camp and just goes on a horrible murderous rampage, killing everyone. What's that?
Okay,
little kid, little dweeb with glasses. He's dead.
Get his head off.
Only Shadyside kids. And the film does hold back in that we see characters who are, for all intents and purposes, adults get mashed, but we just see kids at this point. The violence not actually happening to them. We just see that they are made into chunks afterwards, right? And
we see some chunks afterwards.
Yeah, we just see the chunks. We don't see that. We don't see the process of how the chunks are made on screen. And they're getting these Shadyside kids, which is a pity because by and large, those Sunnydale kids deserve it. They got it coming. They're right pieces of shit. You'd think, curse or no, at some point, someone from the underprivileged Sunnydale would have gone mad and killed a load of people. Sorry, underprivileged Shadyside would have gone and started beating up or killing kids from Sunnydale just for generations of oppression. But no, they leave it to the curse.
Let the curse sort it out. Come on. So yeah, Cindy and Alice managed to like escape. Well, there's a bit obviously earlier where not earlier, sorry, there's a bit now where Ziggy is having like a bit of a to and fro when the girls who was bullying her. She locks her in a toilet. She gets covered in bugs, but then
with the help of Nick Good.
Yeah,
Yeah,
with
Nick
Nick.
Good.
Oh yeah, so she's like befriended Nick Good as well, and she's getting quite close to him
because he likes Stephen King, and he likes and I like that he then references that Stephen King's actually really popular. It's fine. Yeah. It's not a weird thing that I like him.
I'm a bit weird, you know. Oh yeah, I'm proper alternative. I love Foo Fighters. A lot of people love Foo Fighters. Foo Fighters sell out Wembley like every year. What?
Yeah.
Well, I'm edgy, right?
Not edgy, just in my music and film taste. Sports as well. Support a Manchester team, not the one you'd think though.
I support Accrington Stanley. Okay.
Exactly.
Oh yes, we're knocking the references out of the park. Thank you.
So it's all about it. There's Tommy is there. I wonder if they called him Tommy because that is the name of like the anti-Jason. And
interestingly, I think you're right, Jason, and I'm thinking Jason. The opposite of Jason is Tommy from the Power Rangers, Green Ranger, Red Ranger situation going on here.
Of course,
I like it.
Pretty sure that's what they were going for.
Yeah.
I'll spot the Easter eggs even if they didn't intend them to be there.
Yeah.
For that one.
Yeah. In many ways, rivals, but a lot of ways, the best of friends. I like that one where Jason was injured and Tommy gave him that cool shield he had for a bit. Oh, what an episode!
Yeah. That like foam gold.
Yeah, the gold
shoulder
thing.
pads.
Apparently, it was a shield, and you could touch it and transfer it over. What an episode!
Yeah, that was
when their friendship. When their friendship was cemented because they obviously started as a baddie, much like Tommy did the opposite journey. He started as a goodie, but then became bad.
He became a Jason.
Yeah.
Yeah. In the film. Also, so at this point, they're trying to climb out the toilet.
Oh yeah, that was pretty gross because
followed the way through the caves, and they've got a map, and there's just a mountain of shit at the bottom of the toilet that goes into like.
I'm sure someone must have noticed before. Yeah.
Oh,
there's a bloody cave down here.
That toilet goes literally to oblivion.
Just have a look.
It's literally like, do you know the long drop toilets at Glastonbury Festival, where if you do want to do a number 2, it's quite entertaining because you can just listen for the splash. Sometimes it takes 10 seconds before it lands.
Yeah, if you look in there, you can catch a reflection.
If you look in there, you can just see everything dropping around you.
Something winked at me.
Looking into the void.
Something winked at me.
Can you I often think that with those situations, those long drop toilets, I think if by any circumstance I ever was to fall into one of those, I don't think I'd want to be rescued. I think that'd just be it for me. Even if I wasn't injured at all, I'd be like, no. Give up on life like Padme. Just take a massive breath out and just fade away.
Yeah.
Does that mean Karen will become a Sith?
Yeah. Yeah. I'll just be like, no, I'm sorry. My heart is broken. I'm never going to recover from this. I'm just going to slowly just give up on life and wither away like E.T.
You fall in by trying to have a look. That's how you'd fall in. You go, have a little look.
How curious do you have to be to fall in?
That bloody Veruca Salt looking over that thing.
I don't know how curious you
golden geese, and you get.
I don't know how curious you can get because the stench is otherworldly.
Yeah,
you know.
You could prank someone falling. You could butter the sides.
Or margarine, you know.
Yeah, I can't believe it's not butter. Yeah. If someone slipped in, and he just came and just dunked on downwards, so their legs closed up like a camp bed.
Jesus.
Yeah. Or just if you were at an enemy, you could just drop their phone in there or something, and they'd be like, "Oh, I want that back, but also I don't ever want that back. It's gone."
Yeah. Yeah. So, the girl from Stranger Things is trying to help out her sister with the shitty bucket, like they're trying to pull her out of the thing.
Get in a bucket, it'll pull you up.
It's got to be quite difficult to pull someone with like that tiny rope that burning their hands, and it stinks. Really smells quite bad. But at the same time, Tommy, he says, "I'm going to nip for the toilet. So I need a number 1 or 2. I'm not sure yet." And he goes
Can
to
have
go
a look
in.
down there.
He sees Ziggy and is it? I get confused.
It's the sheriff, not sheriff, just
The other
good.
girl. Wait, what?
Oh no, sorry, they're pulling up.
kill
It's
someone?
not the sheriff. It's Buddy Gary, the guy from
Gary, the guy from Halloween.
Yeah.
So obviously he's been
I know
typecast as
it's-
well
yeah.
to be basically brutally murdered by a serial killer.
Yeah.
Do you reckon Tommy can only really like swing his axe at things now? So even if he does need a shit, he's like he needs to wipe his ass and he just axes the toilet paper. I don't know what else to do. Axe that. What are you having for dinner? I'm going to axe the fucking lot of it.
I mean, because right now he's not like one of the ghosties that comes along, so he is still a human man that's possessed. I wonder if like possessing evil forces give you a pass if you need the toilet. Like, I needed a wee when you possessed me, so probably going to be more efficient if you let me just go.
You're going to need a wee forever, but you're not about to do it. So that's why he's so angry.
Yeah, that's why he runs everywhere.
Out the bloody way.
But yeah, he axes poor Gary's head off and he goes tumbling down. But Ziggy manages to escape. The girl from Sunnydale that was locked in the toilet and attacks her when she goes in, she's fine, right? She just
I think she
knocks her out.
Knocks her out, and she's like falls into the toilet. She nearly falls into the toilet.
Oh, give up
just
on
falls
life
into-
down there. Just
The
like,
sides
falls into
have been
cubicle.
buttered. The rim has been buttered. Who did this?
The room.
Condor!
You've been buttered.
You've been buttered again.
You've been layer packed. Just to
so I
hear
think-
like a trumpet sound.
oh, Douglas.
I can't remember what happens, but I think Alice finds the hand, doesn't she? She brings it up when everyone's
Yeah,
kind
she
of
finds-
reunited.
Red, there's blood dripping on it or something, and
It's
maybe
down the
like,
toilet.
oh,
It's
Red
down the toilet.
moss.
Who shot
Yeah.
this out?
Because that's
Look
where the hand was chopped, wasn't it? So
Yeah.
that's where the hand got chopped. So they find it and goes, "Oh, that's good. We've got it now." And they also understand that you have to reunite the body with the hand. So
Yeah.
then they go to look where the nurse thinks the body is going to be. That's their plan. But first, they've got to get out from the underground. And in the clues, they see that there was once a meeting hall where it comes up, which is going to be the main camp mess hall. So they're on their way. And while this has been happening, there's been some great other like Friday the 13th style murders. There's the other camp counselor having sex with the shady side girl who, also smokes pot. The whole thing where, there's some kind of transgression. They've had sex, they do drugs, and then she gets axed. Loads of other kids that don't transgress and do anything bad apart from just being like sweet little kids that are bullied by other people get axed as well. But it's all going about it. Young Sheriff Good says to the sort of douchebag counselor, right, get everyone together. You're taking the bus out of here.
Yeah, so trying to they were playing some sort of game of what?
They call it Colour War, which, bearing in mind, I don't see any non-white people that live in Sunnydale. seems a bit on the nose.
I did think that a couple of times when there was like, I was like, is this a good name for this thing, the Colour War?
But it is effectively red versus blue. Maybe it's a camp thing, but
yeah, I think so. I think it's pretty innocent. I don't think it's race war implied. That would be very, very problematic. But so they're trying to gather all these kids and we're still trying to hide. And obviously trying to say, "Quick, there's someone trying to kill you," and it's like, I'm still gonna hide behind
a likely story.
I want to win. Yeah.
But yeah, they're gathering all these people up together. The also thing about the whole Sunnydale Shadyside, because they're so mean to them. If you were Shadyside, we're not going to do things with this town anymore. Like, do your own dickhead stuff. We'll just do our own camp. It is a whole town. But never mind. They still go. They haven't learned yet. It's only the 70s.
Yeah. So I think so.
They're gathering them all up.
So around about now, Alice finds the hand. She turns up, but then she gets killed, doesn't she, by Tommy? She gets like,
Oh, she gets got after they've killed him once. So they
yeah,
get
that's
out.
right.
So the sister C burnt. So Cindy, she gets out of into the meeting hall, and basically between her and her sister, they finally reunite. They've been separated. Ziggy has had an encounter with Tommy at some point, and the young sheriff has helped her escape, but she's missed the bus that's taken all of the other campers out. So there's only a few of them left here now.
Mm-hmm.
Cindy and Ziggy basically team up and are able to kill Tommy. Emily pulls a sack over his head so tight that it takes on the definition of his face.
Yeah. I kind of thought I was disappointed by this because obviously in the first movie he's got a sack on his head, and in this movie he hasn't. So I was thinking, I wonder how he gets a sack. I kind of imagined a moment where, I don't know, he saw himself in the mirror, and then part of the Tommy was like coming through, and he was like, right, now got to put a sack on my head so that I really embody this. But he ended up having a sack on his head just because someone put it on his head once.
Like, so tight. They put it on so tight that it
just take the shape of his face. Maybe the sack was full of.
It never came up ever again.
Maybe the sack was full of glue. It's my glue sack.
Have you still got that sack on your head that I put on there all those years ago? Yeah, I can't get it off. All right, embarrassing.
It's full of glue.
I understand that, like when he dies in it, I imagine that's like because whenever something changes at that point, the goo just kind of remakes them in that image.
That's a good point. Yeah.
It doesn't even shift.
Can you imagine that though? What a blow though! Getting stuck with a sack on your head.
Yeah. Like,
how does he see?
You can see through a sack.
Yeah, not a good day.
It's like, imagine someone drew a knob on your head and then you died, and then you kept coming back as a ghost, and you can't see how the knob on your head. You just be like,
if we find ourselves in like a Fear Street situation, you want to have these things ready to get them. Like, you know, when you've started to defeat the killer, put a t-shirt on that says I am a dickhead. or take the knife out the hands so they don't come back with a knife, and give them like, you know, bunch of flowers, dildo, things like that.
Timmy Mallet, a bunch of flowers, dildo.
Yeah.
You still kill someone with a dildo, probably.
I'd say less effectively than an axe.
Bludgeon them.
In Deathgasm, that's one of the weapons. Have you seen Deathgasm?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Oh, put that on the list, Ben. Right up your street.
Dildo murdering.
Dildos.
But they don't. So they kill him, basically, the two sisters. And there's been an earlier conversation where Cindy's like, "Oh, I couldn't kill my boyfriend. I love him." But when her sister's in danger, and now he's a sack face axe man, she doesn't hesitate. She knifes him up, good and proper.
So after this, Ziggy and Cindy like go to the tree where the witch was hanged with the hand, in order to, because I think at some point Ziggy bleeds on the hand and sees a vision.
Yeah,
Sarah Fear.
Someone gets a vision going. You're right. She bleeds on the hand. Alice comes out, but then after I got big Deep Blue Sea vibes from this. She does a big speech about we may be from a bad town, but if we work together. I turned to Karen and just said Deep Blue Sea. She's like, yeah. And then she gets axed.
Gutted.
And then the sister comes, and this is where we get the same as we had in the first movie. The gang's all here, all the baddies from various periods. Yeah. Ruby turns back up. The melty face milkman turns up.
They're all kind of equidistant as well from the tree. Is it the tree, right?
Yeah.
And they're walking towards it. Yeah.
And
then they get put up. And then
so Cindy pretty much realizes that they're only after Ziggy because she activated the curse. And she like drops the hand, sacrifices herself, but they both get like murdered. But they're both definitely dead. So one's
so they dig up the grave, but it's just a stone that says psych, the witch will live forever. Lol.
Yeah.
Sign Nelson Muntz.
IDST. It's like, I can't even break it. It will always be a curse. And then the sacrifice doesn't really work. They both get got and die in like a dramatic reaching out for each other pose, but not really.
So Cindy's definitely dead because she gets axed repeatedly in the chest.
Right in the
horribly.
heart.
But luckily, Ziggy's getting sort of like stabbed in the
Only
side,
in-
and I guess the killer's not going in all that deep. He's just kind of like nicking
missing
her.
the organs every time.
Yeah, because after it happens and all the killers kind of go away,
Bit of CPR, she's right as rain.
a young Nick Good turns up, does his best CPR, and she's fine. And nobody goes, "Have you been stabbed 48 times?" Yeah, but the CPR plugged all my wounds. I'm fine.
Yeah. Oh, maybe that's what we didn't see in the cut scene. He puts loads of plasters on his hands, and when he's pumping, he's just putting one on at each of the spots where there's a cut. And yeah, she's well. And then for reasons unknown to anyone, apart from so we can have a dramatic twist, we know that it's now Ziggy that's alive, even though the adult character looks a lot more like a sister. And it makes sense she would grow up to look a bit more like her older sister, I guess. But then young Good says, "Oh, that's the sister that is."
At any
Berman's
point,
dead.
did you feel like young Nick Good was a bit dodgy? Because I never really did in this film.
No,
In the first
I thought he
one,
was the sheriff that was either good or bad or corrupt or didn't believe them. But once it became magic, I just thought he's a clueless sheriff. And when he was a kid, he's nice.
That's exactly what I
Yeah,
thought.
yeah.
But it kind of does suggest, because even at the end of this one, he says to somebody about, doesn't someone say something to him about him becoming sheriff when he's older?
Yeah, it's like, oh, it's your destiny. You'll always be the sheriff, like your dad and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And he has a conversation like, oh, what if that's not what I really want to be?
What if I want to become a professional roller skater? Fuck off.
Yeah, but his brother was he always born to be the prime minister?
Yeah, the prime minister. Yeah, I'm not sure if there's always been a brother that's a prime minister. It's just in the modern day that he has a brother that's prime minister.
Yeah.
Good
point. So yeah, then we go back to, so Ziggy lives, then we go back to 1994, where her real name's Christine, and they talk about breaking the curse again, that the camp was turned into the Shadyside Mall. So Dina and Josh go dig out the hand from underneath the same tree. Luckily, it's still there, even though it's like 3 inches in the ground.
Yeah. No animals have got those things. Like, no. Well, I guess it's in the mall, and also you can just walk into the mall.
Yeah, that's handy. So they take it to the place where the body is buried, which is where Sam touched it, bled on it. Dina reunites the body with the hand, thinking that that's pretty much going to be it.
She says, "I got you, bitch. This is it now."
Got you, bitch. And then her nose starts bleeding, which happened earlier in the first movie. And she sees a vision, sees herself in a reflection, and it's 1666, and she is in the body of Sarah Fear, and a whole movie worth of flashback is about to happen.
And off we go.
Surprisingly, not a whole movie. I was expecting a whole movie, but it's only 30 minutes or so.
2/3 of a movie.
Yeah. So the third one goes right into that, doesn't it? I think there's a recap with a weird little skip recap button on the bottom right corner of the screen.
Before you go into it, should we rate this one?
Oh yeah, sorry, yeah. I mean, I'll go first again. I'm gonna go with a B. I just think this one was way more enjoyable. I think that the killing aspect, if there's a lot more danger, there's a lot more killing, which is what I just want to watch. As much killing as possible, please.
In your slasher movies, yeah.
Yeah. It's just really fun. And the setting, I think it just, I don't know, it was just way more fun to watch. Had a lot more pace to it.
Yeah, I think I agree with that. I think I'd go for a B as well. I really enjoyed it, and I think I sort of explained why at the start of this review. But yeah, I just felt more invested this time around, more so than the first part.
Yeah, it's a triple threat on this one. This is my favorite one, I think. I'm going to give this one a B as well. And I love the aesthetic. I love the way that the killings actually work out. There's some creative choices here, and reminds me of some of my old favorites, but without being as close to them. I think it does a lot more to distance itself and be its own thing, as well as a homage to what was.
Yeah.
Agree with that, definitely.
So this next one, I actually felt like it failed a little bit at that homage element for me anyway. I don't know about how you, but I felt like it was only homaging one film, which is like The Witch.
Yeah. So The Witch, oh, then maybe there's some other things in there. Oh, what's the Dan Stevens one? Is it The Disciple?
I know which one you mean. I can't remember what it's called though.
I think we even reviewed that on this.
We did, yeah.
You've done
It's called Apostle.
Apostle.
Close.
I guess it's kind of
Disciple.
those feelings. The Disciple. It's got that kind of feeling to it, but you're right. It's primarily a story of the witch.
It was a bit like that. It reminded me of, do you know what? Sleepy Hollow a little bit as well.
Yeah.
Just from like, I guess Sleepy Hollow is obviously set a bit later than 16.
I'm gonna fire into this one from the very beginning. My problem with this one was, man, those accents made it a hard run for the first 45 minutes to an hour of this movie.
The accents, they just couldn't seem to commit to them. Sometimes it felt like they were really trying. Other times it felt like 0% effort. So I was like, do one or another, isn't it?
Yeah. I just feel like, because I don't think if they hadn't bothered and they just had them speaking as normal, knowing that it was if they could have kept their accents, but perhaps done like, just generic old timey speak, that would have worked. But this isn't a criticism of what is, young, largely American actors. Like accents, like I had to look up the trivia, it is meant to be an Irish accent, but like trying to do those accents is hard at the best of times. I couldn't do an Irish accent. I live far closer to Ireland and probably interact with people from there a lot more than some of those actors do. So it's really tough. But as a result, it felt really jarring in a series that had a lot of credibility, and I didn't necessarily see the seams of the filmmaking up to this point. Like, it made it really tough to get into the third part as it started at the beginning.
I think because it included so many actors from both movies, in a way, it kind of felt like, I don't know, like a stage production. Something about it made me feel like a sort of stage production, or like, I don't know, like a sort of high school or a school like theater thing or something like that, because I felt like I recognize all of these people and I've seen them as different actors, and now they're doing accents and I'm like, I know that's not them. So I was taken out of it in that way.
I understand what they were kind of doing there, having the characters actors from the previous, but I didn't like it. I think with American Horror Story, they tend to use the same actors again for different roles in different seasons, but the fact is, this is one universe. I felt like they should have been different. Even just have the one Dina played a Sarah Fear person, and just have everyone else as other played by other actors. I don't think they needed to do that.
Although the actor who played Sheriff Good he looked different enough in this.
I had no idea it was him.
Yeah, that was pretty much it. So obviously beard and long hair, but I think he was good at just being a different character, and I believed him and his accent.
I think he carried it off, but he might not be American either. He might be Australian.
Got you. Okay.
So he's doing an accent all the time. He has to do two different ones.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was the toughest sell for me, and it genuinely did take me about 10 minutes to start ignoring it. And maybe this is an effect of the fact I did literally watch it the day after I watched the previous one as well. Maybe had I left it a week in between, I wouldn't have cared. But I literally just heard them talking normally. And then they went for, like, I would say, arguably one of the, without speaking in another language entirely and having to learn that, I'd say one of the hardest accents you could attempt to do as an actor, right? Convincingly.
Well, the New England accent.
No, the Irish accents they were trying to do.
All right.
I thought it was like they were doing whatever you call them from The Witch, the New England settlers thing.
Oh, I'm not sure. I read the trivia that said that
It sounded Irish. It definitely sounded Irish.
It was meant to be Irish, but I took it as Irish that sometimes became the north of England.
Yeah.
That sometimes went somewhere very different. Like it
sometimes was just kind of American, I think.
Yeah, I think their natural accents just broke through on a number of occasions.
Yeah.
So also, obviously, Dina is inside the body of Sarah Fear experiencing it, but it's not like she's Dina as Dina from 1994 walking around in the body of Sarah Fear. She kind of just is a vision, and then she is Sarah Fear experiencing it as she did.
She is Wishbone playing that character.
Wishbone.
When Wishbone.
I haven't thought about Wishbone for years.
Oh, I fucking love Wishbone. But she's Wishbone in this story. She's telling the story as is. She's not ad-libbing it. She's not Dr. Sam Beckett quantum leaping into it. She's not looking at her reflection in that water and going, oh boy. And then Al turns up and like tells her how she needs to make the history play out. She is a passenger in this vision, right?
Yeah. Wishbone. Wow.
You don't get it in any other horror podcast, guys. Not a single one do you get Wishbone.
I'm surprised if many people know what we're talking about.
Wishbone.
It's basically a little dog who recreated like Ivanhoe. And
classic literature. Yeah. He plays the hero in every song. What a talented dog.
Yeah. And he was a very small dog. He wasn't like a big dog.
If he'd been in this film, I reckon his accent would have been cock on.
So, in terms of Sarah Fear's life in 1666, there are some parallels to Dina's. Obviously, that she's got a lover who, what's her name in this one? Hannah. Her name's essentially the same actress who plays Sam in 1994 and 1978. It plays Hannah. So obviously, a bit of a different time, 1666, in terms of. If you're gonna show any form of homosexuality, people are gonna everyone's a religious nut, or they're gonna think you're a witch, or both.
Yeah.
The slightest thing goes wrong. Like in many ways, you watch a thing like Gravity, where things are in space. The slightest things goes wrong in space, and you can die. If you live in the past, you think normal pedestrian life on Earth not as dangerous as space, but no, because if the slightest thing goes wrong. Like if your milk is off one day, it's the bloody devil, isn't it? He's at it. He's the devil's
devil. And if you go, oh sorry, I think I left that milk out. That's why it's gone off. You're a witch. Oh, for fuck's sake! You couldn't relax.
You've invited the devil in here. My hair's really frizzy today.
Yeah.
You know this is.
It's not the 30-degree heat. It's the devil.
It's the devil. It's parting in the middle here. Someone's invited the devil into this community. I'm going to find out who it is.
And also, it seems like a way of people just getting rid of people they don't like.
Yeah,
you know I mean, like I don't really like
one
that
guy who does. Because he gets punched in the knackers.
Yeah,
either the knackers.
So he tries it on with Hannah, and I think Dina says something about him having a boner.
Yeah,
which he's got.
Says,
he's tenting all over the place, and everyone laughs.
Tenting all over town. Says, "Oh, like go and find Ostershag if you want. I'm sure they will overlook your things. If anything, I guess a horse would be more judgmental because horses got massive cocks famously.
Yeah,
and they're judgmental bastards.
Famously.
You know,
horses that really like if you look at a horse, they look at you like,
oh, Jesus.
Judgmental.
I've always been scared of horses.
Yeah,
it's not because of the size difference.
No, I think it's because they can kick you in the chest hard enough to stop your heart. That's what scares me about horses.
Yeah. And they can like bite your fingers off and stuff as well. I don't think they do very often.
But they can.
But they can, yeah. There's a potential there. I just don't understand. I don't know how to read them like with dogs and cats. I feel like I know what they're saying to me, but horses.
Yeah, they're it's very difficult to really get to know a horse. I'm sure people do, but I'm not around them enough.
Yeah.
To know. I can never. I like horses. Type. I like to look at them from a safe distance.
I don't even like to look at them. Not even from a safe distance.
If there was a fence between us, I'd like, maybe offer it a carrot, maybe pat it on the nose, but I don't like it when you walk through the fields and they're there.
You walk through fields and there's a horse in the field with you. I'm running.
You could get me if you wanted to. There'd be nothing I could do about it.
Don't show fear. Otherwise, it comes after you.
Don't
Yeah.
show
Oh.
Sarah fear.
We were walking around here actually, Ben, with the dogs,
Oh, yeah.
and a horse tried to stomp on Axel, but he got out of the way.
Oh, God.
Jesus.
And
Jesus Christ.
Karen was ahead with them, and the horses were trying to stomp on them, and I was stuck, and I couldn't get through the gate because the horse was standing in front of the gate, so I couldn't open it.
Planned.
Just standing there like I ain't moving.
Planned, yeah, it's a trap.
You know what? You know why they did that? The horses.
Try and-
Witchcraft.
Yeah,
Probably.
witches.
I think witchcraft.
Someone's invited the devil into that community. And
Yeah.
that's what you say. If someone does the slightest thing, getting back on the topic of the film, because someone sees Sarah Fear, expressing her love, kissing.
Yeah. Kissing.
I saw you smooching. But yeah, they and then there's a blight on all the crops. Sarah Fear is very capable. She delivers the baby pigs, takes one to Solomon Good.
Yeah. The pig his name's like Black Phillip, or he's like the equivalent. He even he says, "Would thou like to live really tastily?"
Yeah, just slightly different.
Yeah.
Wouldst thou like to eat fresh? I
Well,
would.
I mean, Pig Phillip, she wakes up. The brother wakes her up and says, "Pig Phillip's done a bad thing." It's not Phillip. It's a female pig. Black Pippa. And
Before he's done that though, because the dog is missing, and the other thing, as a brief aside, the brother, like after they've had this big, because they all did all this kissing and making fun of people and stuff on a special like full moon ceremony where they visited a witch, and she said something cryptic to them, but the brother wakes her up and goes, "Wake up! You've overslept. It's almost 6:30. It's gone 6:30." And I've already finished most of the chores. I put it to you, younger brother, that if you can almost have finished all the chores by yourself by 6:30, probably getting up earlier than you need to.
Yeah.
What time did you get up? Quarter past 1. All right.
Goes to bed at 9 a.m.
I did the night shift.
Jesus.
I've almost done the morning's chores. It's 6:30. You are very late.
Yeah.
So
Pepper, Black Pepper the pig, Black Pepper has eaten.
Oh
yeah. He's like, she's like eating all of the
Pretty
pig lips.
gruesome.
Yeah, she's like still munching on them.
It focuses on loads. You see it, then you see it again, then
you can hear
it goes and gets an axe, and then it focuses it again. Oh,
that's right. Yeah, give us an axe, and she chops up the
she
pig.
does that a bit quick. Gets the axe. I mean, probably just don't have any more babies with it. I mean, you could do anything with it before you have to.
Yeah, if it's livestock and you're going to use it for that purpose anyway, might as well have done that. But everything's going wrong basically the next morning. Like the food is all rotten. There's black blight everywhere. The apples are all gone bad. There's bits in the flour. The pasta. He's going
mealworm, doesn't it?
He's going
the pasta.
lally.
I thought you meant like the pasta storage that they have.
No.
The noodles.
We don't know what's happened to their spaghetti. Well, I ordered bows and I've got the little spirals. Fuck!
This is wholemeal.
It takes slightly longer to cook.
Yeah.
The pastor, as in the priest, he's whispering away to himself. He's gone mad.
He's got flies flying around his head. I don't know if that's key or not.
He's doing what Tommy was doing in the second one. He's got flies whispering to him, and he's gone a bit off.
Yeah,
he's gone a bit off.
He's gone a bit manky as well. But before they can investigate that further, Sarah is cast out because everyone basically knows. Because let's face it, for something that is a terrible danger to them in the past, after they've done it the once, they've done some kissing in the woods, and they're worried that someone's seen them. They go back to town, and in worrying about it in the town square, kiss some more. I mean, if you're worried,
Are you worried? Yeah, but I feel like having a kiss would make it better.
Yeah.
But will the kiss in turn not make you worry more? Yeah, then we might have to kiss again after that.
Yeah.
All right.
Effectively, forbidden kisses in 1666 are like Pringles. Once you pop, it's really quite difficult to stop.
Not much
so you
out
just
there
need
in the
more.
way of entertainment either, was there? So I
Yeah,
expect
there's-
forbidden kisses are pretty much all that there is to do.
Now on telly, Pigs already had a baby today. You've seen the new Pigs.
Yeah, and then they've been eaten.
So you can't see him tomorrow. So what was this?
It's nothing to look forward to.
So yeah, she gets cast out, and everyone knows. But it doesn't feel like this is a burning situation yet. She's just been shunned because her dad is like, "Oh, this is no good." Oh, and the town is called Union at this point. It's not divided just yet.
Yeah.
Um,
So it's the original
Yeah.
settlement before it was divided into Sunnyvale and Shadyside, or Springfield and Shelbyville.
yeah. So
Yeah.
before it's Springfield and Shelbyville, but then everyone's already on edge because all the crops are going a bit off. And then one of the days, the pastor has locked himself in the church with all the kids, and people are getting a bit concerned.
Oh yeah.
No one's thought to go to the back door until Solomon gets there. So he legs it round, and those guys bash the door down. And my goodness, he's done a number on those kids.
How did he get away with this though? Because how did he like round them up? Is he like the Pied Piper? Come into
Well, I
this
guess-
Yeah, weird,
church.
isn't it?
Oh,
guess-
Also, did he do his eyes first?
Sunday
I mean, that
school.
seems like, oh, I've messed this up. You come here.
Come here. No. Come here, you naughty boy. No, no.
And also, do all the kids just
Marco.
do all the kids sit still while he's got there?
He does one eye. He does one of the kid's eyes, and then he goes, "Right, now it's your turn." He goes, "Well, I don't want to because you're going to cut my eyes out." No, I'm not.
Yeah.
But you just did hers. Oh, come on, I promise. Cuts their eyes out. Right, who's next? No, I don't want my eyes out either.
When one
I'm
of
not
the
gonna do that.
dads dropped their kid off at school to say, keep an eye on him, he said, oh, I will. And
Oh, I will.
later on, his eyeballs are literally on this kid.
Yeah.
He's like,
It makes a horrible
Yeah,
little
a
pile.
little chuckle to himself. He's like, what he doesn't know is going to pull his eyes out while he's at church today. Does like a Boy Meets World to the camera.
yeah.
But yeah, he's had all their eyes out.
He makes a horrible little
Solomon-
pile of eyes as well.
Why don't he just pop them back in? I guess they don't know who's which one's which at that point.
Maybe that was his later plan. He was going to mix them up, and everyone will be ever so embarrassed.
I
And this
also
is
hate
pre-CPR, so we can't bring him back to life either.
you do CPR and then their eyes start forming back in their eye holes.
You
CPR
pump
sorted them
someone-
out.
You pump someone's chest enough with your hands, you can cure anything.
Yeah.
I kind of get annoyed here that the pastors kind of no criticism. They're like, oh, the pastor's murdered all these kids, and they're like, yeah, but he's probably under the influence of someone who invited the devil in. Someone else is to
Yeah.
blame. Hope someone else is to blame. Probably a woman.
Yeah,
Which is
probably.
their attitude.
And everyone else is kind of against her. Dad's kind of abandoned her already, but Solomon, he's a nice chap.
Oh
He
yeah,
goes,
Solomon
I'm the
does
most progressive
kill-
man in 1666. He goes,
Very
I'm
progressive.
yeah, I don't mind if you have forbidden kisses. Always room for you at my house. But you're right, Ben. You were saying he deals with the pastor, right?
Yeah, he kills the pastor with like a horrible rake
Forks him.
forks him.
Fucks him. Yeah. Yeah.
So there's like a meeting held as well where they basically it's every town nut job. Basically all men.
Is
Every
it everyone in town apart from Sarah Fear and
Yeah.
the other girl?
And there's like, obviously the dude who played Tommy in 1978 version is like his answer for everything is witch / the devil. So
yeah.
he's just annoying.
I put
He
it
just
to
doesn't
you.
know. Whenever people ask him a question, he doesn't understand it. He's just asking which one. Which?
Witch.
Like-
The devil was invited in. What's
Yeah.
wrong with you? I asked you what you want for dinner.
Which?
The devil. Witch. The devil. Yeah.
Yeah.
Bloody devil. Yeah, I put it to you though. If you truly believe all this stuff that's going on, and you live in this town, right?
Hmm.
So the devil who has possessed the priest, so basically turned someone's side from God to the devil
Hmm.
and made him kill loads of kids, and is able to blight your crops, maybe rather than trying to get people that the devil likes, probably trying to change sides and be like, right, all for the devil in this community.
I love the devil. Devil's a stand-up guy.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
You know, just see what he wants. Just, you know, give your Harvest Festival stuff to him and he'll make sure you're all right. But
Solomon Good is basically like, right, where's your evidence? And luckily, the guy who was recently rejected by Hannah Miller for having an erection and got humiliated by Sarah Fear, luckily he's got some evidence, which is just a barefaced lie. So
which is just some broad speculation.
Broad speculation. I saw her dancing with a devil. She lay with the devil. I saw her having an arm wrestle with a devil, and then they had a kiss and they tickled each other.
Yeah, he even adds on a bit more. Oh yeah, and they weren't alone. There's another one as well. Forgot about that bit. Yeah.
He's a real yes and man, and also he had some bits about himself as well. Like, so yeah, I was just skateboarding down. I was being super chilly cool, and they really wanted to have sex with me, but I said no, thank you, the devil, because I'm so good at sex that you wouldn't be able to handle it.
Did you have an erection at this moment? No.
No.
Well, I was flaccid.
At that point, the desk in front of him knocks over.
You've got an erection right now, haven't you? No.
No, that is flaccid for me. Like that's just
that's flaccid for me. All right, you know. Yeah, some people are impressed. I'm not bothered.
Don't act like you're not impressed.
Yeah,
and then he gets all of his mates to basically say, "Yeah, I saw that too, and me, me too, yeah." And they go, "Oh, we've got all the evidence we need." Lying,
like
bastards.
you know, like the famous alcoholic / madman that always seems to be in a portaloo in the earlier scenes. Like he
wiping his hands on everyone. Hey, up! It's just like rubbing his hands on people. They're like brown. Why is that? That's mud, right?
Yeah.
He's a no good character, and someone has killed Sarah Fear's dog as well and put it in the well, making it all rotten.
Yeah. I knew that was coming though. As soon as they were saying they were calling the dog was nowhere to be seen. Then there was a jam in the well, not a jam like a raspberry jam, but like it was jammed.
And a clog.
I was like, oh, there's going to be a bloody dog coming out there, a bloody dog. Oh no!
I mean, I was sad it was a dog at first. I thought it was just like a big clog of hair, and I was like, I've been there, mate. In those plug holes, getting the hair out.
It's gross.
I mean, I haven't.
Surprisingly,
yeah.
Oh man.
So yeah,
I surround myself with extremely hairy things.
If you haven't done it, Ben, your plugs are probably absolutely clogged, mate. Because you've got girlfriend and daughter. I imagine they use your sinks.
I have done it.
You've got bum hair, I imagine. That's all.
I've got one. I have got one bum hair, yeah, but I'll keep that. Don't let that. I have done that before. It's a horrible situation where it just keeps going. Just keeps going and going.
The worst domestic job available, hair baby removal. I think so.
Yeah.
I remember in London, we lived in a flat on the 7th floor, and the shower drain was completely clogged. It kept like rising over the top and going over the sides. So we got some of this like extra strength unblocker gel stuff. It's meant to like melt hair like super quick. It said just leave it in there for 20 minutes. And then you need to rinse it out as soon as possible. I tried it once, it didn't really work. And then I left for work and Kat said, oh yeah, I tried some more of it. I said, did you rinse it out? She said, no. And it'd been there for like 4 days. Well, it was an extremely long time. But the water did go down. But I'm wondering if like the water just went straight through into like the downstairs flat or something. Like it's completely take out the pipes.
It's like alien blood. I once had done that job. I'd got some of the incredibly caustic crystals, and you poured it down there. You have to mix it in some water and then pour it away. And then later I went to get a drink and I had a big old swig of a drink from a glass, and it was a bit, and I was like, oh, the acid, I'm dead. It just turns out it was lemonade. I'd picked up a different glass, but for a second I was like, no! Literally, for a few seconds I was like, I've done it. This is it for me.
That would be it for you, though, wouldn't it? I mean, that would just take out your.
There'd be nothing you could do about it.
I mean, if you were
a bit of CPR sort you out.
Oh yeah.
If you were in a toilet at that point in a long drop, you'd want that. You'd want to disappear.
I guess the only choice to have would be to eat enough hair to absorb all of the liquid quickly.
Quick, bit bold and hair.
To the
I need your help. But only
But yeah,
hair.
we've so this problem is not going to be solved by caustic crystals. It can only be solved by finding out who is the witch and sorting them out. And they immediately jump to the conclusion that it is both. Yeah.
Well, yeah.
They
So
capture...
Sarah and Hannah. So they capture Hannah like immediately, don't they?
Yeah.
Even Hannah's mum is like, probably for the best.
Yeah.
But Sarah escapes and like goes on escapes, sort of like goes to find the widow, who they think is a witch, who's played by the same actress who played the nurse in 1978, but then finds that this witch's book is gone. The widow's been murdered. So then she goes to Solomon's house for help. I didn't really see this coming though, did you?
About a couple of minutes before it happened. As soon as the cupboard opened in the house when she's hiding, I was like,
I.
So yeah, it turns out Solomon Good he's essentially the witch, and that under the house there's like a ritual with this sort of symbol, and he's been using it to make a deal with the devil, so that Pastor Miller was possessed to kill others in exchange for power and wealth, which is why Solomon Good, in terms of the timeline and the family tree, which is why a Good has always been like the sheriff, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he's got all this power. He's kind of offers her to join us. I've always thought you were all right, Seraphia, and you've got a really cool name for being a witch. So how's about you team up with me, because you're like me. And she's like, and originally Sarah she's met Hannah when she's locked up and says, actually, tell you what, I bloody will make a deal with the devil. Bearing in mind, I think I've done it anyway. I'm going to go and do it. And she goes to get the book to do that. Looks up chapter 1, devils.
That's when she finds the witch dead. Yeah.
Yeah, she finds the witch dead. So she's gone to basically make a deal with the devil. But actually confronted with the truth, with Solomon going, oh yeah, I'm the witch. Basically, you just get a few people killed. You just have all the kids' eyes popped out every so often, and town will be great. And she goes, actually,
one of them is my brother.
Yeah, one of them was my brother. Thanks. I know he got on at me for not being up until 6:30 in the morning, but could have asked.
Yeah.
And I'm nothing like you. So she shanks him and then runs off.
Yeah, and then they have a big horrible fight, which ends with her getting her hand cut off again, hand
sort of snapped off.
Yeah, it wasn't the way that I envisioned the hand coming off either. I always kind of thought that the hand had just got separated from the body because of decomposition or something. I didn't think the hand actually ended up coming off, because that's kind of nuts.
Yeah.
But then after that, she escapes. The townspeople are there looking for her, and
she breaks through, and it comes out into the church. So it looks like she's just emerged from the church covered in blood.
And just before she gets to tell the truth, Solomon comes up behind her, grabs her by the head and goes, I found the witch.
At this point, I'd be like, just shouting, just check out Solomon's basement. Like, the proof is all there. And she doesn't, she keeps quiet about it. She does, as they're about to hang her both of them, she does use this as an excuse to say it was me to show that she bewitched the other one.
Saves Hannah's life, but then she swears vengeance, doesn't she? She basically says before she's executed, I swear vengeance, I'm gonna fuck you all up, which is essentially
she says it to she curses in particular the sheriff. She says, the truth is gonna haunt you, mate. She's saying mate sarcastically. She's not really his mate at all.
I mean, Solomon Good lived out a great life from what we can tell. He did really well. His family's done really well. The only people who had it bad are the people that Solomon Good's been attacking and putting the name. He's been sacrificing people. The only people who've done it bad are the victims of those people. The Goods have had it all right.
Yeah, I take it we don't see the split in the town here, but I guess we can see the early divisions of it too, right? Because there's the people that are like dead happy. They're like the mob from the Monty Python Holy Grail. They're like, burn! And then there's the other people that are a bit like, hanging people. I guess they become shady side, because it's also a lot of their friends from the 90s
Yeah.
The actors that play them, and they are the ones that put that stone under the tree that says, "Ha, witch will live forever, lol." And they give her a proper burial that only they know.
And they're all like, even though we don't see much of them in this version, they're all essentially the people who played Dina's friends in 1994 version, who are the people who gather together to give Sarah Fear a proper burial.
Yeah.
And then a bit of a shock, it goes back to 1994, and it says 1994 Part 2.
Yeah.
So
and we begin with the sheriff turning up.
Yeah, so the sheriff turns up. Dina knows that the good family responsible for the Shady Side curse, firstborn of each generation, repeats that ritual. You'd think someone would miss it out, wouldn't you? Like, oh, can you do this ritual? I can't be bothered.
Yeah, you
I'm
always
not actually bothered.
As a rule, you go against the things that your parents are interested in, right?
Yeah, exactly. So you think,
so you'd be like, "Oh, Dad, no."
No, I can't be bothered.
But we quickly revealed that he is a wrong and he's been doing all this stuff. But they quickly escape him and they run back to Ziggy's house, and they have a plan to work together.
They're going to mix blood, and they're going to carry the guy, get good covered in blood, and then all the killers are going to come after him instead.
And they're going to trap them. So they're going to very briefly trap the killers that come out of the cesspit. They're going to trap them in the shuttered shops. They're invincible. Yeah. Oh, and they're friends with a janitor now as well, who was briefly in the first one.
It was a minor character in the first one, but becomes quite a big part of.
I thought that meant he was going to die.
Yeah, they literally turned up at his house and said, "We're going to kill the sheriff. Are you up for that?" And he was like, "Yeah."
So then he pretty much finds out that the sheriff framed him as well for spray painting all of these sort of quotes from.
Yeah, because I take it that it also the good family must also have been basically propagating the rumor of the witch and the curse.
Exactly. Yeah.
So everyone slags off Sarah Fear, and actually she's dead nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, so in this big finale in the mall, there's a bit where the police turn up, and again, this is the moment where the killers do kill the police, and it seems a bit unnecessary if they only wanted the person who's cursed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They have to kill the person who was cursed and who the witch is going after that has their blood. So now it's Dina whose blood they're after. Because that's who the sheriff wants to get the monsters to get, I guess, because she knows the truth. But they will also kill these policemen if the plot calls for it.
Yeah, it seems like that. So all of the heroes battle all of the killers in the mall, while Dina goes after Nick into this into these tunnels in the mall, which I guess is obviously pretty much the same as the tunnels from underneath his house in 1666, right?
Yeah, exactly the same to this day.
Yeah, exactly the same. Not they just go, we're going to build this mall, but let's do it around the tree, and these tunnels are important too, so keep all of that.
Yeah. Didn't come up on the survey, oddly enough.
No.
Even there was literally a trapdoor to the tunnels in the maintenance corridor.
Yeah. So how does Dina? She gets the upper hand on Nick in there, and how does she kill him?
Yeah, basically between the killers that are now fighting the guys, and they have a nice trick where they use super soakers to squirt each other with the blood, and they're fighting each other. But then they decide to just fight them on their own for reasons rather than just run away.
Yeah. This plan was so convoluted as well. This plan was so convoluted, and it felt like it was only there so that it could look awesome with all the UV and the colors and stuff. And it did. And it did.
Yeah. Looks great. But meanwhile, the sheriff does get covered in blood, so he goes into the underground. He's got the upper hand. Sarah's also there, and is fighting with her, but she gets incapacitated by the sheriff.
When they said they're going to carry him, I kind of wanted him to get completely drenched in the blood. That seems like it would have been more.
He just gets a bit splashed on his top.
Yeah,
he deserved a far more brutal and horrible death, really, considering it was the finale.
I don't think the goods got it that bad.
No,
compared to everyone else, the goods really didn't get that bad at all.
They did it all right, because basically he has got the upper hand. He's going to kill Dina, but then she puts his hand on the sort of pulsating mass, like the heart of darkness under there. Then he has a spooky vision. He goes, "Oh my goodness, there are some spooky things here." And he sees all of the victims that we've seen throughout the course of the 3 movies, our main characters who've recently died on screen. And that distracts him long enough for Dina to stab him in the face.
So so the curse that Seraphia tries to place on him, like, you'll never, like, people come out, you'll never be happy or whatever it is. Like, he's pretty happy for most of the time.
To show that you'll feel the pain of all the victims.
But he's got an amazing house. Yeah. It's PS5, I bet, probably.
Yeah, he's 6. Like, if the devil's getting it for you, whatever you want.
Yeah. PS666 even. And he gets stabbed in the eyeball. He sees a couple of ghosts, gets stabbed in the eyeball, and that's it. And he was like the after a massive long chain of goods who've probably not had any troubles at all.
They probably just lived lives. I did have a period where I was like, oh, is it going to be the same guy? Is he going to have lived for ages? But then I was like, how was he a kid that time in the 70s? So that's quickly fell apart.
Yeah.
But, it is different, guys.
Also, like after that happens, all the killers disappear and everybody, and obviously the good guys win. When they later on it says, "Well, the good family's been exposed for their heinous actions." So I was like, how? How did any of what they'd done at any point?
All the evidence of the witch stuff disappears. That's underground. Yeah. So basically, all the killers get vaporized into powder.
Does that mean the long drop disappears? Someone's like on the toilet.
They get buttered.
But there's nothing to fall into. So what would be in the basement is the sheriff that has been stabbed in the face, and then Dina just walked out of his house, and then we see that the sort of benefits, the benefits that are linked to Sunnydale are all out the way because someone backs off. An innocent Sunnydale resident backs off the drive and gets hit by a bin lorry.
Oh yeah, that was pretty bizarre. I was a bit confused by that. And that's kind of it. There's like an epilogue bit where everyone's, Dina and Sam are having a date at Seraphia's grave. Lovely. Everyone else is
kiss, some lovely music. They have the Oasis on. Ben, I know you're a fan.
Bit of Oasis, just to set the mood. And then there is a mid-credit scene as well, which is where we go into the tunnels, past the police lines and stuff, and somebody steals the widow's satanic book.
Why would they leave that there?
Yeah. You take it into evidence, wouldn't you? You wouldn't leave it on the crime scene. Come on.
Who do you reckon it is? Thanos.
It's probably Thanos or who else could it be? Loki. Agatha likes him at the moment. It was Agatha all along.
Yeah. Maybe it's the brother that's the mayor who said, "Oh, I don't know anything about that. Didn't know that brother was a witch."
Yeah, probably. Prime Minister, good.
Everyone else is dead. Yeah, so that's that. So where would you rank this one in terms of the others?
I went for a C again. I thought it was okay. I actually liked that it kind of wrapped everything up quite neatly to some degree. It's quite fun, but wasn't as entertaining as the second one.
But, I feel like I liked it, but it definitely suffered a bit from having to tie up all these loose ends.
Mm-hmm.
Where I think the middle one kind of does well as a standalone piece and doesn't suffer too much because it knows everything's been established in the first part and everything will be wrapped up in the third. So the second part was allowed to just be. But yeah, so I'll probably go for this. Yeah, so I'll probably go for the same as the first one on this one, a C+.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go with probably a C on this one. Like you, I liked how it tied everything up, and I liked how things get things that set up in the early films get paid off, and it pays off really well. And I think there's a lot of attention to the connectivity, and it gives loads of context and meaning to everything that's come before. And we've gone through this as quick as we could, and I think there's a lot of depth to it.
Mm-hmm.
But for this one, the accents really took me out of it in this early section. Not only the accents, actually, sometimes the dialogue choices, like he still called someone a frigid bitch, which doesn't feel like it's in keeping with the old time language that they sometimes
dirty old
try
slag.
To do. Yeah, so it just seems a weird mix, but I still would say, even though I've gone a C plus, a B, and then a C, I probably edge to the higher realms of that when you consider all these three things together.
Yeah.
How about you?
As
Like,
an
what's your
entire piece?
as a package? What do you think?
Weirdly, as a package, I kind of enjoyed it more than some of the individual elements.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I'd probably go for like a. I would recommend any kind of horror movie fan to watch the entire trilogy. I would definitely say there's enough here in that there are some boring bits, there are some lulls, but it does come together quite nicely. I like the plot twists and the plot reveals.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of really fun kills throughout the entire film, throughout the entire trilogy, really.
That's pretty stylish, you know. I was a bit disappointed because there's some really good opening credits in the first movie as well. We didn't really get that in the second and the third, did we? But they're pretty tasty.
Can't remember. Yeah.
Yeah.
There we go.
So we've got some name game if you guys are up for it.
Oh, always.
So this first one is actually about a circle of teenage friends who accidentally encounter the Battle of Hastings.
Something 1066.
Fear Street.
Fear Street
1066. I thought you were like William the Conqueror Street 1066.
So one is a circle of teenage friends accidentally encounter the ancient evil responsible for all clocks resetting to 0.
Fear Street 2000.
0000.
I've gone for Fear Street Millennium Edition.
Oh, that's a good one. I'd like to see that.
Circle of teenage friends accidentally retweet something and they all get cancelled by witches.
Oh, Fear Tweet.
Fear's tweet.
For retweeting something as well, not even for tweeting something, for retweeting it.
Retweeting the wrong thing.
Circle of teenage friends accidentally encounter the ancient evil of throwing things really far.
Fear Yeet.
Fear Yeet. A circle of teenage friends accidentally encounter the ancient evil responsible for a load of curdled milk.
Curdled?
Well, just bad milk.
Bad milk. I can't think of anything.
Fear Street best before end.
Yeah, BBE.
Sour milk.
Well, where does milk come from?
Cows.
Fear teat.
Fear teat.
I've never got that.
Well done.
10 out of 10.
10 out of 10. Out of 5.
There we go. Very nice. That was good.
Very good. Well, I know we probably took us a while, but we nailed an entire trilogy. Well done, everyone. And well done for you at home listening.
Yeah. Congratulations.
I don't know about you guys.
Effort.
I am tired, but also really hot, so I'm never going to sleep.
No. Yeah, exactly.
Sleep is not going to come to us. You might get 5 minutes of sleep tonight, like 50 times.
Yeah.
If you're lucky.
Yeah.
There we go.
Cool. Next week, what are we doing this week?
Maniac Cop.
Oh,
yeah. We got a Maniac Cop next week.
I hope it's still on Shudder. It was a little while ago.
Good question. So yeah, that'll be fun to do. Been looking forward to that one.
Cool. Anything else we want to tell people before we close up?
Yeah, you know what? We've talked about Fear Street. Let's own it. Listen to our Halloween story from last year on the Hawk and Cleaver Other Stories channel.
Great idea.
Halloween Horrors of Old Mill Lane.
Mm-hmm.
Great idea. Yeah, if you enjoyed this, then you'll probably enjoy that in audio form. So yeah, go and check it out. Check it out.
Other than that, all the usual. Hit the socials, guys. Let us know what films you want us to watch. Give us a cheeky 5-star review. They're free.
They are free, yeah. I mean, you can become a patron, which isn't free, but we will accept that over at patreon.com/Hawk and Cleaver. Thanks to Kovac Cowman for our theme music. Thanks to Acast for hosting the show. And thanks to you guys, the listeners. Join the Facebook group, Horror Hangout Board of Advisors.
Always a fun time.
Always thanks to my co-hosts, Andy and Ben, for being right horror dudes.
Until
Thanks,
next
guys.
time.
It's been a pleasure.
Cool.
See you soon. Don't melt.
See you later.
Bye.
Yeah, bye.
Bye.